All right, let's start. So let's start with your name.
Yeah,
And then also if you want to say your social medias and
sure.
then what you teach.
Yeah, totally. So my name is Chris Mukiibi. My students know me as Mr. Mukiibi. Um, I have one student who graduated recently who likes the idea of calling me Chris, but I don't even think he likes that. But most people do call me Chris, though. My students know me as Mr. Mukiibi. I'm most active on Instagram. My handle is at Mr. Mukiibi, MrMukiibi. I do have an X account, Chris underscore Mukiibi, and I have a LinkedIn, but I'm not as active on those platforms. So if you wanted to get in touch with me, my Instagram is the best place. What else? Oh yeah, I teach high school chemistry, which is sometimes a lot of fun. Sometimes it feels like an impossible task to teach the local kids in the area chemistry when they don't want to,
Mm,
or when they don't have the skills to. That's
mm,
also an issue.
mm,
But that's quite the challenging job, but it's also super rewarding because I realize I get to introduce the world of atoms to kids and to show them how the world of atoms influences our lives and influences them. I think is something that all my students take away from it. They may not know Avogadro's number or molarity or things like that, but they do know that the world of atoms is real, and that's
mm.
that's something I enjoy.
I love that.
I also try to teach other lessons in my class just to keep it interesting for me and so I don't go crazy. Because I constantly get the question, are we ever going to use this in our lives?
Right.
And I said, you might not, but someone smart will.
That's
That's just me being facetious. But no, I try to explain it to them.
yeah.
But I also try to jam pack my class with other types of lessons too. And so there are moments in my class where I'll touch on like philosophy or literature or English, and that's because I believe the world of words is just as impactful as the world of atoms.
Mm.
And whenever the students don't believe me, I ask them if they're okay if their girlfriend would kiss someone else, and they said no. And I'm like, well, the only thing that changed is the words, man. So what are we talking about here?
Oh,
Um, yeah,
nice.
it's a fun. Anyways, so that's what I teach. That's a little bit about me.
Yeah, I
And
love that. Yeah, I
yeah.
did see a couple of your videos where you were reading them quotes and asking them what they felt, and I like that. I mean, I was a math teacher, which is like I don't know what it's like in chemistry, but like in math, like I know nobody wants to really be there with me even now and like what I do. I'm like, I know you guys aren't happy, but like
Yeah.
let's try to do something. Let's try to be funny or something that can make you feel like this is worthwhile your time. I did want to ask because I did so had you always intended to be like a teacher? Or was this something that happened like it just kind of
Um,
happened?
this me being a teacher, I think, is a calling from God that I had strong resistance
Mm,
to for many years. I noticed that at a young age, I loved to grasp complex ideas and I love to share them with people in
mm,
simple ways. And I noticed that when I explain things to people, they tend to understand them. And I thought that was just neat.
right,
Um, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think about making it a career. I just thought it was something I did.
right.
My main goal for most of my life was to become a surgeon, actually.
Hmm.
So I got my degree in chemical engineering with the intention of being a heart surgeon, because the
Oh,
cardiovascular system in the heart are like pumps and pipes, and that's what I studied deeply. And I wanted to make myself different from other pre-meds because I'm a competitive future
right, right.
surgeon, blah, 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 blah. I also had a lot of pressure from my father to become a doctor. My dad's from Africa. He immigrated here in the 1980s. My mom is from the Philippines. She also immigrated here in the 1980s, to the United States, for those of you that don't know where I am. And they always told me that if I wanted to have a good life and be successful, and since I'm smart and good at science, I should be a doctor. And
Right.
I believe them. And I actually thought it was a cool idea. I really wanted to hold a beating heart in my hand. I thought that that
Mm,
was like a super interesting idea.
mm,
Um, the world of medicine did genuinely fascinate me. And so I was like, you know what, this, my parents are encouraging me. This seems like the path I should take. I should do it. And so as I went throughout college, my whole plan was to be a doctor, but I wanted to make a little bit of money on the side. And I noticed that all the jobs on campus paid trash. They were
mm,
like paying less than minimum wage to teach
right.
organic chemistry. And I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
This is insane. And so I started a tutoring company where I could teach algebra one for like twice or four times the pay.
Mm,
And so that's what I was doing. And that's what got me through college. I was able to pay my rent, my gas, and go to concerts and blah, 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 blah through tutoring. But what I didn't realize was I was developing this intense love for education and working
Mm,
with students. And as I would do everything related to pre-med, I would constantly see, or at least I would constantly look forward to the sessions I had with my students. And there were many times where I would feel like I would rather be tutoring or rather be
mm,
working with students than
mm.
working on the ambulance, for example. I did that for
Right.
about a year and a half. And then there was a moment I remember sitting on the ambulance with one of my uh he was also pre-med, and we were both complaining about how the MCAT is too hard and we have to retake like biochemistry and blah 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 blah. And I remember sitting in the ambulance with him, and he was like, you know what, I think I'm just not going to do it. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a firefighter because that's what I want to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we can do that. You're right. We can just do something else. What are we doing? And so
Right.
then I was like, okay, well, if I can do anything, what would I do? And so then I thought maybe I could be a music producer because music's
Love
a big
that.
part of my life. It was a huge part of my life. And then I thought maybe I can be an entrepreneur. But then I realized that I should double down on my strengths and not necessarily try to reinvent the wheel.
Mm,
And I had a lot of other moments that proved to me that I was avoiding being a teacher,
hmm.
being an educator. And I
Yeah.
was avoiding it because I was chasing things like status and money.
Yeah.
And I realized that at some point I will have enough money to do what I want to do, because I'm a pretty simple person. I don't really want a lot of things. And I do believe that not wanting something is as good as having it. And so I realized that I don't need like all the money in the world. There was actually a day where I like wrote down all the things I wanted to buy, and I realized that I could do that off a teacher's salary. And so I was like, oh,
I love that.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
And so I moved into to education. I also had a lot of other people point me in that direction. I had a that tutoring company I was working with had a lot of retired teachers, and a lot of them would tell me that I'm wasting my time going to medical school, that I should be a teacher because I had a lot of natural abilities that can't be taught. And
Yeah.
I thought that they were crazy. So I still had them write me letters of rec for medical school.
Wow.
But eventually, I decided that I should be an educator. And there was another person I found online who was an educator who was just posting videos of them teaching in their classroom. They were not nice or fancy videos. Like if you look at the early videos of my Instagram page, it's literally just like super raw videos of me in my classroom.
Mm,
And that professor that I found on the internet who was posting those videos had a massive influence on my life.
mm.
Massive. Like completely changed the direction of where I was going. And so it's the combination of like hating pre-med and hating this direction I was going and realizing that chasing money and status isn't really what I wanted.
Mm.
But then also seeing the impact that this educator was having on so many people. Um, it made me realize that I should do it too. And educators can be useful, and they can be
Yes.
people that are admired, and they can make a meaningful difference. And I had the skills to do it. And so I was like, man, who am I fooling? And so
Right.
yeah, I got a job as a chemistry teacher. There's lots of other intricacies in that story, but I got a job as a chemistry teacher, and it was not at all what I thought it would be. I thought the job would be easy because all these people told me I had all this natural ability, and
Mhm.
I already knew chemistry, and I'm used to working 24-hour shifts, and I'll be going home at 3 p.m. every day. And so this is going to
Mhm.
be a piece of cake. And yeah, was I wrong?
Yeah.
I was so wrong about that. But yeah, I learned a lot in this time. And that's yeah, that's kind of like the rough rundown on how I became a teacher and why I started sharing ideas on the internet too.
Yeah,
Uh,
thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
actually that answered that as well. I think for me it's a little bit similar, but then I ended up never becoming a teacher. So I always thought that I would be because I'm also smart and my parents are immigrants. So it
there
was
we go.
like I had to be an engineer or something. So that's why I'm like, that's hilarious actually. And so I was going down that path. And then for me, I did like an internship at like a bigger university in California. And I've never been treated so bad, like for being a girl. And I was like, oh my
Yeah, for
gosh.
sure.
Yeah. And people, it's like way different now. But I'm like, when I was like 15 years
Yeah,
ago, when I was starting to do this
totally.
stuff, I was like, oh, I do not care about this enough to like deal with this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so I decided to like I changed my major a few times. And then I was the only class I ever liked was the math class. And then I would even correct the teacher. Like I did like where they have specific math for specific careers, but then the
Mhm.
people could not like the teacher could not teach it. And I'd be like, oh, like can I, like fix that? And they're like, yeah, okay. And then one nursing class I took because you just go into anything at that point. Um, I was like, oh, that's wrong. And she was like, is it? And then she was like, well, come up here and teach it then. I was like, okay. And like I'm not good at like I don't understand that like she was trying to like whatever. I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay."
Yeah.
And then the rest of that class I taught it with her
Oh
basically.
yeah.
And then I would teach the class like individually like during the hour. It was like a 3-hour class once a week or something like that. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I should probably become a math teacher." But I always thought, "Oh, I would be a professor. Like I'm not going to work with kids."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then now I started in high school and now I work with like middle school and elementary more than anything. And I find it really funny because it was like the one I was like, me, like I would not teach that age group. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I love them and I have so much fun. And I just didn't think about that. I mean, I do think I'm in a transition though, because it's
Mhm.
just been too many years of me doing this kind of thing. I feel like I need something new.
Right.
Um, but my brother's like, that's what you say. Cause I was like going to completely change my career. He was like, yeah, but you'll always end up teaching. He's like, you'll find some side job. They give you 4 hours to teach some kids. Cause he's like, you can't get away from it. You love it. And I'm like, it's true.
Yeah.
There's something about it. And I love it. I think I feel bad because I think I think a lot of people who are teachers really should not be teachers in the nicest way
Totally.
possible.
Yeah, no, not you don't even have to be nice about it. That's true. I think a lot of them think the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, bruh. But then a lot of people who I think were really meant to be good teachers, I think they just, and it happened to me, like, I think I just got like punched down too much that I was like, I'm not doing this. Because I just don't have that, like, I'm not, I look for my life is revolved around me feeling free. If I can feel free, then I feel okay. If I feel not free, I get like I start to lose my marbles a little bit because I have a stranger personality. I have my eccentricities. I don't mind other people being strange as well, but I don't like when like I feel I have to be different because that requires like a heavier or a more energy exhausting than like me working all the hours that I have to work. So I found for me the hard part was being with the other teachers and like that social part was a part
Yeah.
when I was like I got to get out of here and I felt like it sucks because I probably would have been a good teacher if I would have started later in life. I mean, I don't know. Maybe God's gonna put me in a school. Sometimes my brother said, he's like, yeah, I don't know. You'll be like 50 and start working at a school for no reason, like, or when you're retired. I'm like, that could happen. Okay.
I think you'll always be teaching. I noticed the same thing when I was a tutor. I had this extreme desire for like something exciting because I was just going to people's houses and doing math problems. And um, I think that I have, it sounds cheesy, but I think I have like the spirit of this warrior inside me that has to like go out and like do these crazy things. And
Mhm.
so that's when I signed up to work on the ambulance because I thought driving an ambulance at 2 in the morning would bring me excitement.
Mm.
And then I realized that like, no, it's not really what I want to do. I'm probably just going to teach. And I often have my students ask me all the time, like, oh, Mr. McKeeby, like if you won $1 billion, would you still be a teacher? I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't work at the school, but I'd probably still teach. I'd
Right.
probably still teach.
Yeah.
Like if I had all the money in the world, I would probably like open up my own online academy and just teach all the ideas that I am not allowed to say in a public school setting, or spend all my time working on or sharing ideas that I think are important and that my students have told me are important. And so I think there's something about like having that teaching spirit
Yeah.
that just comes out, you know.
Well, when you win $1 billion, you can hire me. I'll work at that academy, no problem.
Oh, I got you, dude. Absolutely. Yeah, please teach
Yeah.
at it. Yeah.
I mean,
I will for real. I'll contact you if I ever come into a lot of money and I start that academy,
let's do
you
it.
will there
I'm
because
in.
you're great.
Because for me, I think the thing is, and that is okay. Well, I guess we'll go from here and then I'll come back to teaching stuff.
Sure.
But I did want to ask if you consider yourself religious or
Yeah.
spiritual and a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do. I consider myself a Catholic. One
Mhm.
of my aunties may not consider me a Catholic, but I believe that my relationship with God is it has been a journey throughout my
Mm,
life. When I was younger, I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and I was also raised to not question things. And I
Mm,
think for an intellectual kid, that is impossible.
yeah.
And so I would question things. And of course, naturally, like into my preteen years, my teenage years, and I would say even up until like my mid 20s, I thought everyone else who was religious was just kind of out of their minds and they didn't know what they were talking about. And
Mm,
how silly to believe that a man in the sky is controlling you and making you and judging you and blah 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 blah. And then I think I needed to have that journey
yeah.
so I could, I don't want to say like find the evidence for myself, but yeah, I needed to be able to question my faith to the degree that I needed to discover the inevitability that God is real.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with a younger sister. We're very close. And my mom has 11 siblings, and I have a lot of cousins.
Mm,
And two of my closest cousins are they're like my brothers.
mm.
They also just have sisters, and so we're like brothers. And one of them just recently became a priest.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I've had a lot of amazing conversations with him that really affirm my my faith.
Mm,
And it's not just because I'm talking to him as a priest, but because I'm able to talk to him as like
yes.
my cousin brother.
Yes.
And under he understands the journeys I've been on. I understand the journeys he's been on.
Mm,
And to see how all of it has come together, I think really, yeah, just really painted that picture for me. And part of the reason why I become more religious in my old age. I'm 31, by the way, if anyone's wondering. But I would say that I became more religious at around like 26 to 27 for
interesting.
me. And it was in part studying a lot of science.
Hmm.
Like, one, the universe is intelligible. Like, we don't have to understand everything that's going on. We probably don't. But the
No, we
things
don't.
we do understand, we do not have to understand. It's kind of like the electromagnetic spectrum, right? There's all these waves that exist, but only a portion of it can be observed by our eyes,
Hmm.
right? And the universe could very easily be that way, where all of it can just be beyond our understanding. But that's not the case.
Mm,
And we can understand so much of it that we can manipulate it in
mm,
ways that are predictable and are useful to us.
mm.
And I think that that is nothing less than a miracle.
Yeah.
And I also think that the more I've learned about chemistry and biology and physics and mathematics and statistics, um, it cannot be random. It cannot be random.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. Like if you've looked at I'm sure you have seen this before, but like trees, right? They have a certain shape and
Hmm.
they take in carbon dioxide and then turn it into oxygen. Where
Hmm.
our lungs have the same shape and
Hmm.
they take in
Yeah.
oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Like
Mm.
what are you talking about? That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And if you look at things on the micro level, like down to the atom, and then if you zoom out to the macro level on like the planetary scale, you see a lot of similarities
Yeah.
too. And that's just like
I'm
it's
like,
all
that's called
random.
branding. That's called branding. God has branding and he's a really good marketer. It's just we don't realize it. I'm like, you don't get it? I'm like, it's so and like I literally mean
Incredible.
like it's like his I don't know, I can't think of the word in English, but it's like a mark. It's just it
Yeah.
obviously someone
Right.
made this. You're gonna tell me
Totally.
something didn't like this is
Totally.
too much.
Right.
And for me, see, I never had like a crisis of faith that I didn't believe. I confronted a lot of resistance from my church, but like I don't really trust people. I never have since I was a little kid. So I'm like, meh, y'all are wrong. And I'm okay with that. Like I will figure this out. But I had a point in time where I was not like at any church. But I
Mhm.
really had this idea of my faith, and I had to just be like, okay, it's like you and me, God, it's you and me, and I'm trying to understand this. And I know you're real. I don't care what anyone else tells me. I can try to understand the world for what it's presenting me, and like I want to do stuff too, and I'm doing things I shouldn't do, but like I cannot at the same time be like, ah, you're not there, because it makes too much sense to
Yeah.
me. It like
Yeah.
I don't understand how I've never understood that part. I do let people go on their journey, but I'm like, what do you mean you don't understand? I'm like,
Mhm.
we drink water, and there's like the water and the way even like the water cycle. Just teach that to a kid. I think that's why it's on my mind. But I'm like, how are we recycling all this water that doesn't even make sense? And like everything is too perfect.
Totally. So my chemistry teacher is going to come out right now. So speaking of water, are you familiar with the triple point
No.
on a pressure temperature graph? Okay, so if you take a graph of pressure and temperature, you
Mhm.
could basically predict like what state of matter water would be in. Like
Okay.
if it's like at a certain temperature, at a certain pressure, it'll be gas, or a different one would be like liquid
Right.
or whatever. So Earth has all three um, states of matter, or like water can exist in all three states of matter on Earth. There is only one location on that graph where all three states of matter can exist. And the fact that Earth exists just far enough away from the sun with the perfect amount of pressure in our atmosphere to have all three states of matter of water exist. What? Like
Yeah.
it's extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
It's extremely unlikely. And
Yeah.
and if it didn't, literally our bodies would not work. It's
Exactly.
just I asked my cousin what his definition of God is,
Mm,
the one who just became a priest,
mhm.
and he answered really quickly. He says it's the source and sustaining of everything.
Mm.
I
Okay.
thought I had
Amen.
to think about that for a long time. Amen, right? And so I realized that like the times in my life where I wasn't connected to God, I was living in ways that were unsustainable and destructive. And then there were times where I was connected with God, and I realized that I was living in ways that were creative and
Mhm.
sustainable. And so then
Wow.
I've been right. And so then I've been thinking a lot about how if I am acting in a way that is creative and sustainable, then I am closer to God than I otherwise would be.
Mm.
And I can't ignore that. And I think like that is true, even if you don't believe.
Yes.
And so, anyways, like I said, I throughout my life I've needed to like have sufficient questioning and all that, but I've come to the conclusion that I think God is real.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
also it's natural and okay to question. I think when people are telling you not to question, it's because they're scared
Yeah.
and you're not supposed to be scared. I think by the way, I didn't grow up Catholic. I became Catholic.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, I was Protestant growing up
Wow.
and but I mean I have a whole thing and it's very funny because like it happened around the same age as you, like I was 25, 26, and then that's what I'm telling you, I'm like that's crazy. And a year ago, about a year and a half ago, is when I had my first communion, and that was I did
Wow.
it and it was yeah.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. So it's like but I knew like I just couldn't. I mean, I was like super goth and like into all that. And but at the same time, even in those spaces, people knew like I believed. I was not going to church even.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, no, like I believe this. Like for me, it was never hard to believe. And a lot of people would tell me, they're like, oh, but you're such an intelligent young woman. Like, I don't understand how you can believe that. I'm like, I don't understand how you can't. Have you not
Yeah.
smelled the flower today? Like, what the heck? Like, this world is, people are terrible, and it's because of our decisions. And then you see like a tree, you see a flower, you smell a flower. I'm like, how is that not God, like, alive?
Yeah.
Like, that is the way for me. It's like so much more simple than like I have to understand like how he rose from the dead. I'm like, I don't think I have to. I think
Mhm.
he just had to do that, and I'm okay with like jumping on that bagwagon. I'm like, y'all be jumping on stuff for no reason, like being a part of all these things, like
Yeah.
knowing all these social things, like even like when we were young, because we're similar in age, like we just buy into all these kind of
Yeah.
like propagandas
Yeah.
and oh, their relationship and this and that, and we buy into these little worlds. Okay, like look at this picture I took. Like that's real life.
Yeah.
Like I saw that.
Yes.
And like you want to tell me there's no God. Like, oh, let's talk about, oh, it's because there's a reflection going on with the light. Yeah, but someone thought like I want to do that so that when Valerie walks that day, she gets to see that.
Yeah.
And you want to come on. Like for
Absolutely.
me, I've always felt that way since I was a kid. And I didn't have I had an easier life than most people,
Mhm.
but I did not have an easy life. And I went through a lot of struggles. I go through a lot of trials. And I'm still just like, yeah, but like, I don't know, man, you got to keep going and you keep going and you figure it out. And the only way I know that I make it through is not because I'm so great, is because I can feel there is something sustaining me and like I'm going to something.
Yes.
And so like how I can't lose that because then I won't be here because and I've told people that I'm like you have to understand like you think this proving to me will like get me into my power. I don't have any. So like I don't have any. So let's stop. Like I'm here because something is needing me
Oh,
to go where I need to go
that's so
and I'm
good.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Absolutely.
sorry you feel like you got to do it all. I don't have time for that. I'm tired.
Totally.
Like bruh. And I've told
Yeah.
that to people. I'm like, I'm exhausted, but that's the point is like, I'm okay with that because I know I trust God enough. And even if it doesn't look pretty, like I trust
Oh
him.
yeah.
So for me, anyways, that's a whole like religion thing. But um I do want to ask
Mhm.
in terms of that. I'm going back to the teacher thing because now
Sure.
I can't even remember why I decided to bring that up
We're
because my
good.
mind
It's
is
all
like
good.
everywhere.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
um, well, I think maybe perhaps the reason why I do enjoy what you told me, right? How it's something that has allowed you to have a better perspective and a clearer kind of focus, maybe, and
Mhm.
made you understand these abilities or these gifts that were given to you. And then now you're using them not for your benefit. I mean, yeah, it's a job and you get paid or whatever, but it's really for the benefit of like the students and like
Yeah.
you bettering the world around you. I
Yes.
think especially like when we were in our 20s, it was like we all had to change the world because you're actually very close to my age. So it's like we really had to change the world
Oh yeah.
and like
Save the world.
say we had to save the world. And I'm like, I really wanted to save the world. And then I quickly realized like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can.
Yeah.
And like that sucks.
Yeah.
And like you become
Yeah.
very depressed or
Mhm.
you realize like, okay. So like I can't do it. How do I like do something? And then you realize like, oh, I have to like change myself. And so if I change myself and I accept myself and I learn things about myself, then all that I do things in my little world with the people that surround me that they come through my path. I think that's how you change the world because I actually only have so much power. And actually, that's not a bad thing. I think
Yeah.
when you hear that and you're young, you're like, how dare you? I have all the power. I'm like,
Totally.
no, you don't.
Don't want it. You don't want all of it.
But that also, but it's like you don't. So what you have, let's come back to reality and realize like I have me and I'm in charge of me and that's what I have. And so like let's do something with that. And I think that's why being a teacher for me is such a big thing because like you have all these like little lives in your hands
Yes.
and like they're falling through the cracks, but like you're trying.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're trying. But you know, not all our colleagues are necessarily trying, but that is like such a privilege and such a pressure.
It is.
Um, and that being said, right, do you feel like there's something about either school or education or your class specifically that you wish your students would understand, but just don't?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So much of it. Um, so much of it, man.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lesson I gave. We were talking about chemical nomenclature. For those of you who are not science fancy pantses, that just means naming chemicals. And they didn't give a damn at all. And I knew that they wouldn't. I
Right,
knew
right,
that
right.
they wouldn't. But what I wanted them to understand is that the more you know, the more you can notice. Like I one of my students asked me what my wife does for work, and she's a stay-at-home mom because she's my two kids, and my kids are crazy because they're me. So she needs to stay at home with them because they're
Sure.
insane. And they were like, well, what was she doing before that? And I said she was trying to be a doctor. And she took a lot of very advanced science classes. And they were like, oh, so she did all that work for nothing. And I'm like, she is more aware of the chemicals and atoms that are allowed to enter our home
Mm,
than the average person.
that's
And
true.
because of that, we eat cleaner. We have um she is not afraid of reading chemical names.
Right.
And not just is she not afraid of it, she can understand it.
Mm,
And if we are in a position where, God forbid, our daughters get hurt,
mm,
we are not held at the mercy of some authority figure who, quote unquote, knows more than us.
mm,
We are able then to verify any information that is given to us
mm.
because we are more aware.
Right.
And so, something I wish that the students understood is that, well, one, they all seem to have this narrative that every adult in the world is conspiring to lie to them by giving them useless information. I think
Mm,
that's insanity. Like the idea that everything the adults are trying to teach you is useless, I have no idea where that come from. Like there's a reason why these subjects were selected to
mhm,
be standardized. Like you can have a lot of opinions about it, like whatever the average person isn't using calculus,
mhm,
but the average person who can understand calculus will understand change better than someone who doesn't. And
mm,
change is something that's guaranteed in the world,
mhm.
right? Same thing with chemistry. And so, what I wish my students or any student could understand is that the more you know, the more you notice. And if you really are smart, you can learn anything from anywhere.
Mhm.
So, I had a student in one of my classes, my first year of teaching, actually. He had a 3% in my class. Did nothing. I think he got the 3% because I gave him some points. And I was like, just here you go. But he would always answer my questions of the day with a super thoughtful response. And I'm like, oh, clearly this kid is smart. He just doesn't give a damn. And
Mhm.
so I asked him, I was like, hey, why don't you care about the class? And he said, well, I'm never going to use this. Right?
Mhm.
Um, Eventually, we had many, many conversations. I got to know the kid, and now he actually helps me write curriculums for write a curriculum for this program I want to create to help boys turn their lives around because he was one of them.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's super cool. Now he also wants to be a professor of literature.
Oh,
Which,
wow.
yeah, the
I
dude
love
turned around
that.
like crazy. And what he realized is that he can learn anything from anywhere. And if he believes that the class in front of him is a waste of time,
Mm,
he needs to be able to verify that it is. And he
mm,
doesn't know enough to verify that it's useless.
mm.
Like he just doesn't. Like maybe it
Right.
is useful. And
Yeah, it
even if
might
it's
be.
not useful, you will now notice more things.
Mm,
So I give my students this example of like I have this whiteboard in my class and I draw a circle on it and I'm like, okay, this is all the knowledge you know, and the whiteboard is all the knowledge that exists.
mm,
And the perimeter of the circle is the knowledge you are aware that you do not know,
mm,
right? And so as your knowledge expands, the circle gets bigger, which means what you are aware of, what you don't know, also gets bigger.
mm.
And so even if you're learning useless things, quote unquote useless things, you can learn or you can at least be aware of what you do not know, which is, I would argue, is just as useful,
Mm,
right? Like if I know that there's a limit in my competence, that will help me make more informed decisions later.
mm.
So well, what I'm getting at is that knowledge is almost always useful.
Right.
And to believe that you as a child can be the judge or an accurate judge that
Mm.
the information presented in front of you is useless, I think it's just really unlikely.
Yes.
That I mean, some kids, you always hear the kids, oh, well, this person did bad in school and they invented whatever, that Einstein did failed math class in fifth grade or whatever. But it's like those are exceptions. And the
Yeah.
only people that understand exceptions are people with experience.
Right.
If you're
And also,
young,
like, you're probably not Einstein. And like his
yeah,
end of his life, he was super depressed because he thought so much, and then they changed his ideas to something terrible. So maybe if he would have learned a little bit of executive function, maybe he could have foreseen that a little bit better. We don't know. I love him though. I'm a fan of him. I used to have
for
crazier
sure.
hair, so everyone would always be like, "Oh, that's your uncle or whatever."
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
You know.
But yeah, that would be the lesson I would want kids to really take away from. But also that education, I really do believe, is the antidote to unnecessary suffering. And that if you're
Yeah.
suffering, it is because you do not know something or you do not understand something. And I think there's always a
Wow.
perspective we can take that can minimize suffering. Now, I won't minimize pain. Pain's guaranteed. That's happening no matter what. But
Mm,
suffering from it, I think, can be minimized through education.
mm. I love that. I want to cry, but I won't. I'm a big crier. But I that's very powerful. I feel that too. I like to tell my what I used to tell my students a lot. I really liked working in like harder communities. I just
Yeah.
felt really connected to them much faster. I always, because I was smart, they wanted me in like the nice schools. And I was like, I don't want to work with those damn kids. And no offense,
So
like
yeah.
great. I
No, I
love those
get it, dude.
kids. You know what I
Same
mean?
here.
But like
Same here.
I just really like that. And I would tell them, like, you guys don't get this. Like, this is a whole game. So, like, get with the game. Like, this is a program for the rest of your life. Whether you work wherever you want to work, it's going to be the same thing here. So, if you can figure out how to, like, oh my gosh, what's the word in English? Like, I want that. It's like to support it. If you can
Mm,
support it, like this stuff that you find super, super annoying, you'll support anything in life because that's really what it is. Like, oh, I find this
of
annoying,
course.
or I find it difficult to do, or this takes a little bit more brain effort. Yeah, but in life, there's going to be those moments that you have to do that, and you have to. So if you just learn
Absolutely.
how to get with the game, then you do well. Like, I
Yeah.
honestly don't think I'm very smart. I just learned really early on because my parents told me that if I did not I don't have any like special abilities. You know how like some people are like really good at music. My brother's like an amazing musician. I don't have none of that. Like there's nothing really special about me. So I was like, well, we're gonna have to do real good at school because I don't have anything. I don't have any inventions or any of these big ideas where I read about these kids. I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna just have to figure out how we get a 4.0 or higher here. And so I learned how to learn.
Yeah.
And that's what I did a lot of teaching where I'm like, you have to, okay, I get it. You don't agree with that. But guess what? Your teacher is obviously pushing for that. Just go with it because that's
Totally.
what's going to get you sustained. You're pushing yourself to try to do a whole thing where like this person is not going to understand you and like that's okay. And guess what?
Mhm.
That's life. A lot of times people aren't going to understand you. And
Absolutely.
we don't have to agree with things that we do to get ourselves forward. Like as long as we're not hurting anybody or we're not doing anything really bad, then it's okay. And like that is a life skill, that's a survival skill.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, like they'd be like you're doing too much. And then they realize I'm like, no, actually, that's how you do very little, but then it seems like you're doing a lot.
Yeah. I
And
agree with you.
that's the big thing for me. When I wrote that, that was something I always wanted so desperately. And I still explain whenever I talk to my students, like I explained this to them. And sometimes the parents are like, "Oh, you shouldn't say that. Like tell them that it's super valuable." I'm like, "No, because I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying like let's be real.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm a weirdo. I stayed in school. Like but most people are not going to do that."
No, totally. I agree with you. Yeah, like I tell my students all the time, like you're not all going to be chemistry experts, and I
Yeah.
don't necessarily want you to be.
Yeah.
But if there's anything you're going to learn in this class, it's to learn how to do things you don't want to do at the very minimum. And that's everywhere. And I've noticed, especially now that I get older, even the things I find exciting have aspects about them where I'm like, but it's like I got to know how to deal with that. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's part of life.
Yes. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, even not just like in stuff or for my job or for my career, even like with my family or people that I love or like in a relationship, like, I'm sorry, all this can really help you. And like, it's just you have to be creative enough to like realize that that's where we're going towards, right? Um,
Absolutely.
asking that now how like your students look at you. I did mention this one to you before. So I see my brain is very much like I see things in like cartoon all the time. And I don't know. It's just something my brain likes to do. So
I
I
love it.
wonder if you ever think about the persona that is attached to you as a teacher because it's like it's not Chris, right?
It's
It's
not.
like it's
No,
like you, but like do you know who that is to them? And I wonder if you would want to describe that or like maybe how it's affected you. Um,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, I am hyper aware that when I go to work, I'm putting on a performance, and
Right.
I'm a character, and it's the Mr. Mukiibi show, and they are going to hang out with Mr. Mukiibi, and there are many days where I'm not Mr. Mukiibi.
Mm,
You know? Like I will be at home and I'm Chris, and that's different, and that's even different than being like dad or
right.
being a husband or
Right.
any other role that I'm fulfilling.
Yeah.
I noticed that it's actually really critical for me to be connected to Chris as an identity and as a character. But yeah, I'm very aware of what Mr. Mukibi is as a caricature, as a persona. That's actually why I started the Instagram. So, well, part of the reason I mentioned earlier that I became or I was influenced to become an educator because I found other educators online who were just absolutely amazing. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to do the same thing. And it's cool because those educators that like had literally like made all the difference for me don't even know I exist. Like I'm just a view on their like metrics. Like I never even like liked their videos or commented or anything. Like I just watched. It just had these massive transformations. And so I was like, okay, I can probably do that for somebody, maybe, hopefully. I got to give myself a shot.
Mhm.
And I realized that all the kids are on Instagram. And I literally asked them, I was like, what social media platforms do you guys use the most? And they all said Instagram was like the most common. So I was like, okay, I don't like Instagram. I don't like pictures or videos or anything like that, but I will put myself, like you said, the community needs to go to where the students are.
Mhm.
Right. And so that's exactly how I saw my roles. Like if I want to educate them, I need to go to where they are,
Mhm.
despite how I feel about social media or whatever. I'm actually not a big fan of social media. I
Mhm.
see it more as like a tool. I think using it for consumption can be a slippery slope.
Yes.
Although, I do, I
Me
do.
too.
Yeah, like I'm not better than anyone else. It's just how I feel about it. Like I'm disgusted with myself as I do it, but it's okay. But I noticed that if I want to actually help the kids, I need to get in front of them. And I also hope that if they interacted with my stuff, it could help change their algorithms a little bit because their algorithms they're crazy. They're
Right.
crazy. What some of these kids say on the internet's nuts.
Like that.
And it's just the feedback loop of who they are. And they're these undeveloped uh, feral animals to be frank. And so I love all my students. They're great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're crazy. They're
Yeah.
crazy. And what the algorithms are reflecting back to them isn't helpful. And so I started posting on Instagram, and I decided to make my handle at Mr. Mukiibi because I knew that that was the persona that they knew me as.
Mhm.
Right. So my Instagram, I think before that was just Chris Mukiibi or
Chris
something. Or
Mukiibi.
yeah, like some, like just my
Dot
name.
3 or
It's like,
stuff like 4 or something. Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, I think I'll do Mr. Mukiibi, even though I feel like that's my dad.
Okay.
I'm like, I will use this as a persona. And so I created this. like image online of Mr. Mukiibi, but it was based off the image that I had in real life in my classroom.
Mm,
And Mr. Mukiibi is this kind of person that is extremely understanding. He is
mm,
extremely patient. He's wise. He's articulate. He's intellectual. He's intelligent. He's caring. He's real. He's honest. And he works really, really hard to help everyone he can around him. And he's a force of good in the world. Now, if
okay.
you ask people who have known me throughout my life, would they describe Chris that way?
Maybe not.
Probably not. Yeah,
Right.
probably not. Like
Yeah.
even when I'm off the clock, if I'm not Mr. Mukibi, I do not emulate those qualities to the degree that I want to.
Mm,
But when I put on Mr. Mukibi, I notice that I'm a lot closer to those qualities. And so I'm very aware that Mr. Mukibi is a character.
yeah.
Um, and there was a point in my career where I remember talking to one of my mentor teachers, like telling her, like, hey, I'm not Mr. Mukibi. Like, I can't be Mr. Mukibi anymore. It's too much pressure. It's too much work. And
Yeah.
she was like, you're fine. Just take a day off. Just
Right.
like go walk in nature. Just like go unplug for a second and come back. You'll be okay. And she was right. I just needed a day off walking in nature. But yeah, I'm super aware that like Mr. Mukibi is this persona, but it's also cool to know that like I'm creating him in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of like ties back to what we were talking about with God earlier, right? Like if I want to be in alignment with God, if I want to walk, I think of the universe as music.
I
So
love
everyone
that.
is kind of like a different instrument, and you could play a note or you cannot, right? So you could do something or you cannot do something. And if you play the note at the right time with the other people at the right time, you get harmonies. And
Mm,
if you play the note at the wrong time, right? Or you play the wrong note, or you are not doing something when you should be, then you get dissonance. And I think that when we are aligned with God, we are working in harmony.
mm,
And so I see me creating Mr. Mukibi as me being in aligned with that harmony of the universe and what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, and so that's in a way what keeps me going when it gets hard is that I know it's this way of me being aligned with this greater, I guess, story of humanity
mhm.
because I do think that what Mr. Mukibi does, and I'm not talking about myself, but like as the
Right.
persona,
Like,
I think what Mr. Mukibi does is helps a lot of people who wouldn't have otherwise gotten that help. And so
mm,
when you said you'd rather work with like these more disadvantaged kids, like, dude, I feel you.
yeah.
Like I've worked with the kids that have all the resources in the world, and it's nowhere near as fulfilling at all. Like they just want to understand what's the chiral center of this molecule and how do I do this SN2 reaction or whatever and then move on.
Mhm,
But the kids who are struggling, they want to know how to act in the world. They
mm,
want to know how to live. They
mhm.
want to create lives that are meaningful for them and for the people they care about. And I'm not saying that the affluent kids don't want that. I'm
Right.
just saying that the kids who are struggling, that is the biggest problem in their life. It's they can't even think about chemistry until those things are solved.
Right.
And that's way more fulfilling. And so I feel like Mr. Mukibi helps with that.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, that's kind of how I feel about like that teacher persona that
I
I've been
love
developing.
that. It's
Thanks.
you took the words out of my mouth because I was gonna say like, well, it just sounds like you're doing um when you really do what you're supposed to be doing, like in terms of what God has called you to do, right? And it having a calling on your life does not mean like I'm supposed to be preaching, like sometimes it's just like, oh, actually, I'm supposed to be like in the garden, or sometimes it's like I'm supposed to be a mom, or sometimes it's I'm supposed to be a chemistry teacher, like, and in those moments when you're doing the thing that He had called you to do, like you are doing immeasurably more than you could have ever done. And that's
Yes.
why it is like it is something else that's going on there. And that's so true. I think that's why I like working with the kids because I don't think they even realize that's what they needed. And then
Yep.
you would tell them really, I do that a lot, which a lot of people critiqued me on in the beginning because I'm very clear and very honest. I was a very strict teacher. I was like kind of scary. I mean, now I'm like, but like, no, like I was, and like for me, it was important because I'm like short and I
Yeah.
was
And you're
really,
younger. You
I
gotta,
was like, they were like so close to my age. It was crazy
yeah, I
that I'm
get
like,
it.
I have to pretend like something
Like
is
when I'm
going on.
45, you'll be 40. This is nuts.
Yeah. I'm like, bruh. And so I was like, okay, like I just need to have a certain thing. But then I would explain to them because I would dress nice. I would wear slacks and like some shoes and like a t-shirt. And I would tell them like, I'm like, do you guys want to know where I bought all my stuff? And they'd be like, a lot of people be like, why are you talking this about the kids? I'm like, I got these at the Goodwill. They cost this much money. I got these shoes here. And I'm like, and you know why? I'm like, I look nice, right? I do my hair every day. I brush it back. And they could see that my hair was like super colorful, but I come looking a certain way. I'm like, do you know why I do that? One, because I care about you guys. And two, because I'm trying to teach you guys something. What do you guys think I'm trying to teach you? And they're like, oh, shut up, Miss Valerie. I'm like, what do you think? And then I'm like, that if you want to be somewhere, you got to make sure you look a certain way. And yes, I know, I hate to tell you, but I'm going to tell you because no one else is going to tell you because we're allowed to be who we are, not all the time.
Okay.
And I would talk
World
to
is
him
a
a lot of,
stage and we're all actors.
yeah. So I'm like, come on. And that's okay. And look, I look good, right? And I'd be like, I guess, and I'm like, oh, whatever. Like, I loved fighting with my kids and I would be very honest and very clear. And I do that now, even with my younger kids. And the parents have told me, they're like, I didn't know my kid could understand that. And I'm like, duh.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, duh, they can. We don't have to like go. One, I'm autistic. So maybe I'm like not an in between the line person in the first place. So I'm like, if you didn't tell me directly, I didn't get it.
Those
If you
social
were,
rules are ridiculous anyway.
I'm like, you're trying to get me where? I don't just tell me. I've always had that issue. So I feel like being clear is what I can offer. And the kids are like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I hate to be the one to tell you, but no one else is going to tell you. And it's like each of us have that gift, right? Of like for you, it's that patience, that kindness. And yeah, maybe we don't have it in our everyday lives all the time, but
Not at
it's
all.
like a miracle. There's a miracle going on there. There's like
Yeah.
a little bit of divinity. There's that, like God just has his like hand there, right? And it's like, oh, I can last a little bit longer. I can like take this. And then we're human, so we need those days of rest. So I'm happy that you said something like that. Really quickly, we
Yeah.
can, and then I'll like end because I don't know how long we've been talking, but I feel like it's been a minute and I don't want to take too much of your
You're
time.
fine. Don't worry about it. I'm enjoying
I'm
this a lot.
like, don't say that. I will go off on a rant, but I'm like, I cannot be trusted. Anyone who really knows me really well, they know like if I want to, I will go forever. And if I like the conversation, I can go forever. And
Same
that's
here.
like,
Same here. And I don't think that's a problem.
it's like my most unhinged moment is like wanting to talk about things that are not crazy. Actually, no, I have a few more. But so I guess your thoughts on on the internet are like it's a tool, and
Yeah.
that's why you convinced yourself it was more like okay for you to do it. That was something I just wanted to kind of talk about.
Yeah.
I guess your thoughts on the internet in general, but like I don't know how far you want to go into that.
Yeah, we can
Um,
go for more. So just like my thoughts on the internet.
in general, like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be necessarily how like it affects students. You can bring that in if you'd like to. I'm just curious how you see it
Yeah.
because
I
it's
think
so important now.
the internet's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Almost every great thing in my life has occurred because of the internet.
Hmm.
Like really, I started my tutoring business because of the internet. I met my wife on the internet. Um, gosh, the things I learned in college honestly was from the internet because my professors weren't the best. A lot of the education that helped transform my life was from the internet. I met those professors from the internet. And so I do think that the internet it is the great equalizing tool because I think that without the internet, I wouldn't have had
That's true.
probably any of the opportunities or any of the blessings in my life that I have now. I really don't think I would. And so I do think that to ignore the effects of the internet or to not work with it, I think is just limiting impact. Like a lot of teachers I know see social media with contempt. I know like some people, um, I'm not sure if like I'm allowed to curse on
You
your
can.
show. Okay. Yeah, but I remember like when I first started posting on the internet, someone was like, "Are you trying to be fucking Tony Robbins?" And I'm like, "No, but that'd be cool if I was. Is that a
Right.
problem?"
Right. He's the guy with like the
And
really big head, right?
yeah, he's a pretty big head. He has like a really intense voice. He's like that
And he
motivational
like
speaker
and
guy.
he has a little yeah. I've only
Yeah,
seen like one or two
yeah,
videos, but I
exactly. Yeah,
just
like that.
his
The guy.
head, not in a mean way. Shout out to Tony Robbins, I guess. I don't know if
It's
actually
great.
is he a good
Great
person?
dude. No, yeah, he's a great
Okay,
person.
great.
I
Yeah,
think
I
he's an
just know
amazing person.
I know him because I'm like, this guy has like a really big head, but he's saying some good stuff.
Yeah, no, totally. But yeah, yeah, like I feel like I got a lot of, everyone says it's like you're cringe, right? If you start posting on the internet and this and that. And maybe because I am like so mean to myself, there's nothing anyone can say to me that would really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Um, that I was just willing to do it. But I think that if I really want to have a positive influence in the world, I need to figure out how to share myself through the internet. And so that's been
Mhm.
my experiment with social media. And it's been an extremely incredible journey. Like it's literally why I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
It's why I have the impact I have with a lot of the students. And I know because I am a teacher with a social media presence,
Mhm.
I am treated differently on campus. Like I get more buy-in with my students simply because they have more familiarity with me.
Mm.
Like, I can't tell you how many times a day I'll be walking on my campus and I see a student I've never seen before. And they're like, oh, I've seen you on Instagram. I wish you were my teacher. Like, that's cool. At least you wished you were being taught things. Like, that's amazing.
Right.
But,
Yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
also know that like they are then consuming things that isn't just pure brain rot. It's just not like
That's true.
nonsense because I know I'm not posting just nonsense.
Yeah.
Um, and so I find it to be an extremely it's super high leverage. It's super high leverage.
Mm.
And so I tell my students all the time, like if you really want to have impact, you can't just rely on yourself. And
Right.
for a long time, leverage just meant either having more money or getting people to work for you.
Mm.
But now, and both of those required permission. Like if you wanted someone to work for you, you had to get the permission, otherwise it was slavery. And if you wanted money to go whatever, like fund some library or something, you had to hope the bank gave it to you or like some I don't
Somebody.
know, consumer. Yeah, someone had to give you the money. And so what I like about the modern age is that leverage is now permissionless and
Mm.
it's with code and it's with media. And media now has been incredibly easy for just anyone to use, like we are doing right now, right?
Mhm.
We're recording our visuals, we're recording our audio for almost no cost. And now we can broadcast it to thousands of people.
Mm.
So we can have this conversation one time and thousands of people, not just now, but also in the future, can participate in this discussion.
Mm.
I think that's an unbelievable amount of leverage.
Mm.
Um, and then on top of that, with the code, you don't even have to be good at coding. Like we got Zuckerberg and all these other engineers at Meta who have solved that coding problem for you. And so you
Yeah.
can just take the media and use their platforms as their code
Mm.
and use that for mass distribution, which is
Mm.
tremendous leverage. And some people use it for terrible things, and some people
Yeah.
use it for various things. And there are some people that use it for amazing things. And I'm hoping that I can use it in the way that complements my talents in that um, sustainable and sustainable way.
Yeah. I
Those
love that.
those are my thoughts on the internet.
I love that. That's actually that's how I feel about it because like similar for me, without the internet, like I don't really know in school because my parents like did not really study here.
Yeah.
I would not have found half the things that I was able to do and like for free because
Yes.
like you have to like Google and like look and like find and like I don't know because like yeah I could have asked around but like I can't I was like 10, 12. Like what I mean I'm gonna be like taking the bus all the way to LA. I can't do that. I can do it in
Sure.
maybe my
Yeah. I
community
mean,
and I did but and so like having the internet then I could and then I could like make all these things and create a thing and like yeah I'm thankful for the internet. I think it scares me a little bit um because I think like people, well, you're like from California-ish, like Southern California. I feel
correct.
like we have a bit of a problem about being real already. And I don't think the internet has helped us with that. I think it's very hard. I think you're
Yeah.
almost judged for being authentic. It makes me very sad. That's a conversation I do like to have a lot in different ways because it's like I'm not trying to be different, but when you're yourself, you just tend to be a little bit more different than other
Yeah. Of course.
people. And so when you do stuff like what you're doing, like you said, like, oh, it's cringe, or like,
Mhm.
oh, you're try hard, but then like my brother will send me things where it's like, well, if you're not doing it right if it's not cringe. You're not doing it
Totally.
right if like people aren't annoyed at you. You're not doing it right if like it makes
Mhm.
you feel uncomfortable. And he's like, so try, do this, try it, you know? And thank God I have people in my life that do that. They're like, all right, like, do
Yeah.
you,
Totally.
you know,
I
and
mean,
I thank God because, like, no, it's
yeah,
hard.
whenever I think about like doing something embarrassing, I think about the person specifically who I am worried about like their
Oh,
judgment. So for example, I could be like I remember being really worried about posting on social media and I was like, okay, well, what am I worried about? Well, I'm worried about my coworkers would say that I'm I don't know. I was worried I'd end up like Socrates, where they're like, "Oh, you're corrupting the youth, and you should die," or whatever. And so then I was like, "Okay, well then, who am I actually worried about saying that?" And I ran through like I literally wrote down the names of the coworkers I had who I was worried
right.
about, and I looked at them and I'm like, "Are their opinions going to stop me from living my life? Like, is this like this like what?
Like,
And then I ran through to my head. I'm like, if they said something, I'd be like, you want to make yourself smaller? You don't
right.
want to have a massive influence?
Mhm.
And what's funny is once I got over that, all of them were supportive.
Right. And that's usually what it is, because it's really just us critiquing ourselves and using the face of other people.
Yes.
Um, because like
Yeah,
I
that's
think
so
you're,
good.
yeah. And like I know because I'm always, yeah, I've tried many a time to do things like this, but this is the first time where I'm like, okay, I need to do it. Because I think like if I don't do this, I'm delaying. So I don't know if you have this idea, where it's like people's spiritual breakthroughs are dependent on like your obedience. And like, so I know that you're like, well, I'm not preaching or anything, but it's like if you do not fulfill the thing that God had made you to do, like I think in part, I really do believe, I mean, we kind of just met. I mean, no, we literally just met, but I do believe that God made you to be this teacher, to be this person, right? So the longer it took you to do all these steps to get over the I want to be a doctor, to get over the understanding, get over, kind of like take away all these layers of all these facades, the longer it took you, the longer it's going to take you to get here. And now here you're influencing people you don't even realize you're influencing. And all of that is creating like that kind of effect, like not butterfly effect, but like in a way, I guess so.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
and so I believe that because I think sometimes I have this problem where I'm like, I know God like has something for me, but I'm like, am I supposed to always like what am I supposed to do? Because I'm Catholic now. I can't even be I can't be a priest. And so I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to like be his representative, you know? And then I feel sometimes God's like, "Ugh, you are so extra, girl. Like, just live your life. Like, live your life and
Yeah.
do the things you know I'm telling you to do and go and do
Totally.
it and go and try it. And people will find you and they will talk to you.
Yeah.
And those people are going to do better things than you. And that's okay because that's the point. It's like, I am simply a catalyst and a player, and I just need to keep going. And I really believe in that. And I think the internet allows that for you because I feel like people have influenced me. They don't know me. I will never know them.
Yeah.
And
Same.
they have said things that I'm like, my brain has exploded, and unconsciously or consciously my life has changed.
I love it.
And like I'm a fan and not a fan. I was one of those people who like I had years where I was just never on social media.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Same.
have a Facebook, I don't have a Twitter, I don't have a TikTok. I had a TikTok years ago of my dog, and then they banned me, which I'm like, not them banning the dog, but and then now I have this Instagram. So it's very funny. I've had like a weird relationship because I feel like it's very addicting
Yeah.
and you can really go down the wrong path
Yeah.
really fast.
Totally. And I think people our age have a really turbulent relationship with social media because like you said, we grew up in this time where like you got dunked on for being authentic. Like if you
Yeah.
didn't have all the filters on, like what are you doing?
Right.
And I've noticed that like the younger kids, like Gen Z and whoever else, they actually prefer the more like raw, authentic, like less edited content.
Yeah.
Which is why I think there's like this massive rise in live streamers.
Yes.
Um, because I think they want that authenticity. Now
Yes.
I think like our age group might be a little different. I think we're a little more resistant to it. Like we feel like things have to be a little more whatever polished or
Yes. Hollywood.
Hollywood
We're
100%.
very much like I mean, we were in that. I mean, our celebrities, nothing to do with a celebrity nowadays. My
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
Because it was a
totally.
song and dance and like
Yeah,
very and but still like covert because we didn't understand that. Now they do a song and dance, but they're obviously doing the song and dance. We all know they call the paparazzis. But before we didn't know, we just thought these people were freaking glamorous all the time.
yes,
And it
yes,
was incredibly unattainable. And then I think for me, living in Los Angeles, I saw
oh
regular
yeah,
people who look like that.
oh
Because
yeah.
people were like, it's only on. I'm like, no, I went to get coffee
Um,
and there was a lady who
yeah,
literally looked perfect. I didn't
yeah,
even know that was the thing.
my wife is from that area, and whenever I used to visit her when we were dating, I would just like see people walking around. I'm like, why do they all look so good? Like it's a Sunday morning at like 7 a.m. Like what's going on? Right.
Like,
Yeah.
bruh.
I'm from, I mean, for anyone that's from Southern California, I'm from the Inland Empire. It is
Uh,
not glamorous at all. Like at all. Everyone is like pretty ugly out here and it's okay, you know?
I'm like, shout out to the Inland
Going for
Empire.
aesthetics. Yeah, shout out to the IE, man.
But no, I'm like, now I get you though. I do because LA is weird. I feel like it's a different world, like a different I always say like you enter a different server entering into LA.
Oh, that's
Like
so funny. That's
it
totally true, though.
it is. Each place you go to is like its own server. And going to LA, like I is crazy to grow up there, I think. And then the thing is, because everybody moved there after they have all this money to like make themselves look a certain way, and then you're just like 12, and you're like, what?
Yeah, right.
I'm
And
like,
everyone who's 12 is like awkward. Like, what?
and we were all just like, what's happening here? And so but I like the internet. I think that's why I do really well with the younger generation. They like me. They like that I'm weird. I get very accepted by them in many forms. Because Gen Z now is like closer. They're like in their early 20s now.
Yeah, they are.
And I do really well. Like I give talks to them a lot, like in my communities, and they're really into it because they just find me so strange that it's almost like they like it. They find it entertaining. Versus sometimes when I go with the adults, they're like, relax. And like it's very funny. And I'm like, oh, sorry. But the young people are like, oh, okay, okay, like let's follow you. It's like strange, but like they're open to weirdness, which I think is great for people. Maybe
Yeah,
like
I've noticed that like despite all their whatever attention issue problems and behavior issues, Gen Z is like the most accepting generation, I think, by far. And I
I
think
agree.
that that is a massive virtue and a massive benefit
Yeah,
feature.
I agree. Um, I will three more questions, I promise. Okay.
Yeah, dude, don't even worry about it. Like I could talk
I'm like,
forever.
I stress
It's
myself
ridiculous.
out. It's
You're
like
good.
the crowd.
Are you familiar with the Big Five personality test?
It's like the INTJ.
That's Myers-Briggs, but also I am an INTJ. Um, Are you too? I had a feeling. Weirdo. Just like me. No, it's so big five is openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. I know I listed that like really quickly.
Yeah.
And you can score on a scale of like 1 to 100 for
Mhm.
percentiles for each category. I'm like top top. I'm like the 92nd, no, 90, yeah, no, 93rd percentile in openness, which means I love talking about ideas and I love boundaries are like an issue for me. I'm like way too creative. I think everything's interesting. And then on top of that, I'm 95th percentile in conscientiousness. And so I will just work myself all the way into oblivion. And I am super industrious and I will just like keep going. And so if I'm having a great conversation, like both of those kind of meet together and I
Mhm.
just never stop. So don't be worried about
Okay.
me not talking or
For
like
me,
me
it's like
being too tired about it.
the audience in my brain,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
true. Yeah,
and they're
that's
like,
true.
please leave this man alone.
That's too
Yeah.
much. Don't
They're
worry
like,
about that.
leave him alone. And I'm
I mean,
like,
Joe Rogan does 3 hour podcasts, right? He's like one of the biggest podcasts in the world.
who?
Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan. Yeah, I do know who that is. I'm sorry.
Also,
I didn't mean to say that. Like, I didn't know. That was really, because
you're
I'm like,
good. It's
he's
cool.
pretty famous. I think everybody knows
Maybe,
who
yeah,
he is.
maybe you don't know. That's fine.
No, I mean, I'm in the age group. I think we all know who he is,
I
whether
think so too.
positively or negatively.
I mean, a lot of the podcasts I listen to now we're just like talking. A lot of the podcasts I listen to are like multiple hours long. So I think that there is definitely like an audience that likes the longer form stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyways, sorry.
No,
Just
that's good for
your
me to know
question.
because I really enjoy it. I just feel like I don't know what people like. I don't know what people want, and I just want to be, and I want to, I know what we're talking about are things that are important. I think that there are things that are good. I think that there are things that people, this is me being a little vulnerable here, and there are things that people can hear. I think that I have things to share, not because I'm so smart. I think I just like,
Hey,
I,
yeah,
I
thanks for
live
sharing.
my life a very certain way that I'm really trying to understand what's going on because I really don't understand what's going on. And I truly
Same here.
understand that.
Same here. That's really my whole thing. Like I'm just trying to figure out what.
Yes, exactly. And so I think many times okay, so like, how like people are like, oh, no one knows that I'm like this, but then like actually everyone knows that they're exactly like that, but like no one tell them that they're like that because like we're trying to be nice or courteous, all this stuff. So then before I didn't know this, that you can't then just tell people how they are. Like I didn't know that.
I
Um,
kind of get upset.
yeah, I didn't know because my thing was I'm not lying and I'm being a good person because I'm not trying to attack you. I just want to bring something to your attention. But I've learned now that it's like, oh, it's the way you give advice or you listen to them and then you kind of can then say back to them what they're saying, right? And so I do that a lot, and people have told me like, "Oh my gosh, like I've never been understood so well." And I'm like, "But I'm not under I mean, I'm understanding you because one, I desire to, but really this is just me putting words to that jumbo stuff that you have going like rambling all around in your head, and like I just wanted you to know that like you can actually define it." And so
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the conversations I have with people, because I've been talking to most people about the Camino. Do you know what that is? The pilgrimage?
The pilgrimage, I think it's like you go you see all the missions. Is that what?
That's in California, but this is
Oh,
you start in France and you walk all of northern Spain, and you're walking along the path that they believe that the apostle Saint James walked, and then you get to the cathedral where his bones are, and it's about 800 and something kilometers. I got lost, so I did like 1,000.
nice.
And yeah, and so you walk, and people do it for different reasons, and so I'm like, I just want people to hear what these people have to say because
Yeah,
I feel like I don't feel anything special. Like the fact that you're like, me too, me too. I don't then feel worse. I'm not
yeah.
like, I'm not special. I'm like, thank God. I don't know. Like, I feel that's very important for me that other people realize you are not alone in the things that you feel. You may not find
Yes.
all those ideas you have in the same person, but many things that you feel very lonely about, where you're thinking about it and you don't have a clear understanding and you don't have anybody to talk to about it, other people are talking about it and they're feeling it, and like it's all a part of this weird human experience that we're having. So like that's why I'm like, but I want to make sure that I don't make it too long, or I don't make it too short, or I don't make it too boring, because I'm like, I want people to hear, not because I'm so special, but because I know there's something special going on here.
I
And so
think
that's why I'm
there,
always like, ooh, I never
I
know.
think, yeah, I think there's a very, I think there's something in our nature that desires to seek our own, like our internal experience outside of us. And I think that if we can't find that experience outside of us, I think we tend to create it. I think that's what a lot of artists do. That's what musicians do. But I also think it's like what a lot of violent criminals do. Like if they're feeling very terrible, they're gonna just put that out into the world too. And so I think it's very much in our nature to try to have the external world mimic our inner world, or at least like
Mm,
find that connection. But for making this accessible to people, I think you can have like the really long form thing, and then you can just like chop this up in smaller pieces,
yeah.
so you can get like different parts for different folks.
Yeah.
But I do think that uh, this will be shared to the people that need to see it for
Yeah, I
sure.
agree. I believe that in the time they need to.
Exactly.
I believe that. I'm one of those cheesy people. My dream, by the way, because I write a lot, is like, and like this is dumb. But I've always said like my dream is that I die, and then like everybody finds my writings because I have like notebooks full of write, and then they
I mean,
like publish my writings.
so statistically, that's probably what's going to happen, right? Like if you look at a lot of like the big writers, like
Exactly.
they spent their whole lives not being recognized at
Yeah.
all. And it wasn't until later. That professor that like really changed my life when I found his videos on the internet. I think it was like 2019, 2018, something like that. Those videos were shot in like 2010, 2011. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it took like almost 10 years before I saw them,
Hmm.
let alone like other people or whatever.
Right.
Like I said, I think what we're doing is like super high leverage. I think if it's super long, then it's super long and it can always be cut up. So it's more digestible for the people that need it to be that way or whatever.
Right.
But anyways,
I agree. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
For that encouragement. Okay. I'm like,
Okay.
okay, teacher.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Mr.
there it
McKeeby in the
is.
house.
Um, but so this question, which you were like, that's interesting. So what's been on your mind lately? Like even this past week or even
Oh,
just
yeah.
today?
So many things. Um, might not be some things are related to education, some are not.
I
I'll
would prefer
go.
the ones that are not, because we've heavily
Okay,
focused on education. So why don't we just
for sure. Yeah. I am very concerned about the collapse of the American dollar. That's been
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's been like a
No.
massive thing for me. Um, so I have met a lot of people who so I'm a dad. I have two young kids. I have a wife, and I see it as my role to understand the external world so I can protect my family from it.
Yeah.
And I have this terrible anxiety that the country is collapsing.
Yeah.
Not just because of what I see with like literacy rates and the math that the students can't do and all that, but
Yeah.
um, just how things are ran in the government and
Yeah.
economically and inflation and
Yeah.
all of these things are just really just to like tie back to that religion piece, like unsustainable.
Yeah.
It's unsustainable. And it's
Mhm.
like what happens if we stray from that harmonious path? It's like we get dissonance. And dissonance isn't always fun. It's not always good. And so I am concerned about that. Um, Now, I don't think that it's like too much of a problem because let me know if I like it too weird, the economic stuff, but like I see it as like this really incredible way of connecting all human beings. I really think it's amazing. But I don't think that there's like a better what's a this is a terrible metaphor, but I'm gonna say it. Like I don't think that there's like a prettier girl at the dance than the US dollar. And so I think that it will be fine for the most part.
Yeah.
But I do think that the conversation in the 2020s has largely been what is money,
Yeah.
which is why you see like a lot of crypto things coming up. And like me as like someone who is like I'm a teacher. I have the salary and like I do have like businesses on the side to supplement it, but I think it's also ridiculous that I have to do that.
Mm.
And it's I've been looking into like why is this happening and it's all related to like these giant forces that like I cannot control. I just kind of have to watch. And like hopefully I don't have to like move to a different part of the world because it gets too crazy. Because like I might.
I
I've
was gonna ask, I'm like, are
that has
you open
happened
to
to
that?
people historically. Sorry.
I was gonna ask you if you're open to that.
Oh yeah, I totally am open to it. I mean, the thing with that though is I do have like a huge aversion to emigrating, because both my parents are immigrants and they had a really hard time like assimilating to American culture.
Mm.
I watched them go through that. Like
Mhm.
my name, like, I don't speak either of my parents' languages because at
Oh.
the time when I was growing up, they thought that if I had an accent, I would be discriminated against, or if I was
Mhm.
multilingual, they would discriminate against me. And so I only know English. Like my name is Christopher specifically, so my dad can get like my dad thought it would get me more job opportunities if I
Mm.
had like a European sounding name,
Mm.
despite wanting to give me a Ugandan name.
Mm.
So there were like a lot of these things that I felt like being a stranger in a strange land is like a challenge I didn't want to have in my life.
Okay.
But now that I'm an adult and I'm seeing some of the things I'm seeing with like the state of the country with education or economics or politics or whatever, culture even, I'm like, okay, maybe I do have to move. And so
Yeah.
I am open to that. And that's just kind of something like I'm constantly watching. It's probably unhealthy that I'm constantly watching it, but I also can't help it. And so that's been what's on my mind lately, just like on a side note from education and everything else.
Yeah.
um, I also find it very fascinating, the state of uh, people connecting on the internet. So I mentioned that this year or this decade, I think people are going to be asking the question, what is money? And that's going to be like whatever, that's going to throw people into a bunch of flux, which you see with like cryptocurrencies and even like gambling.
Yeah.
I
It's
Yeah, it's
like
like all
crazy.
of it,
I'm
like
like, am I
everyone
the only one
thinks
who's
that money is fake.
yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry. Keep going.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, no problem. I think the 2030s, I think the main conversation there will be what is a nation. And it sounds like pretty like out there and crazy,
No,
but
it doesn't.
I do think we're headed there because like
I do too.
there was a point where most people had this common national identity because of where you were geographically,
Hmm.
right? Like people that lived in the same area roughly had the same values, they wanted the same things. That is nowhere near true anymore.
Yeah.
I think people aren't aware of it, but that's just like not what's happening. And so I've noticed, even like with myself, I am more connected with the people I'm connected with on the internet than like my neighbors. Like I've had a deeper conversation with you than I've had with the people who literally live next door to me.
Right. It's
Like
strange.
it's strange. And
Yeah.
so as this compounds over time, I can only imagine more people having that type of experience.
Right.
And then people are going to be identifying their nationality, right? Not their ethnicity, like their ethnicity is like whatever
Right.
genetics, but their nationality, like the group of people they believe they are connected to, will be defined by their network on the internet. Like I really think that that's what's going to happen.
That's so
And
interesting.
I have no idea what the world will look like then. Because I think that at some point, like tying that back to like the whole currency thing, like those different like nation states, or like network states, I guess that would be the term. Like the network states would probably have their own currency to represent the values that that network state shares. So
Yeah.
like you and me, we were what INTJ weirdo educator internet people, whatever, right? And like, so we share this certain set of values.
Right.
And if we had a more complicated community with like hundreds or even thousands or tens of thousands of these other people, and we
Mhm.
started exchanging goods and services in a
Mhm.
way that was valuable to just our people,
Right.
we would need a way of exchanging that. And I think that's how money came into being in the first place, is that we needed to prove that someone has given value to society. And so then they can exchange that value for some other thing.
Mhm.
I think that that's all just going to be put on its head in part because of the internet,
Mhm.
and from the lack of cultural connection and
Yeah.
national identity that I think is eroding not just in the United States, but all over the world.
And it really
Um,
is
yeah,
because like I do a lot of traveling. It's like what I like to do because I'm always, I mean, my life has been me trying to understand why I'm just so weird. Um,
yeah, same.
and it really has been that, or like, am I actually weird? That's been like the big thing
Yeah,
of
I
my
don't think
life.
you're weird.
Thank you. Apparently I'm not because it's what people keep telling me. They're like, I don't think you're as strange as you really think you are. But then I'm like, see, I can't trust you because you're also strange. So like, no offense, like it's calling, what's it called? Like when you call the
The
pot calling the
the
kettle black.
kettle calling the,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
pot
got it.
black, something
I
like
knew
that.
I was
Yeah,
getting there.
yeah,
And I feel like for me, the way I saw it was, for example, I like clothes a lot. I'm not like a fashion person where I'm like, oh, remember spring 1997 on Versace? No, I don't know that. But I like clothes. I feel like it was always a way for me to have fun, and I didn't have a lot of my clothes as a kid was what people gave to us. So I had to be very creative. So I really didn't get to look like everybody. So everyone, it was like when I was growing up was like the skinny jeans, and then you had the tennis shoes, and like it was like the shirts with like the little collars and stuff like that. And like that did not come in from the ladies from the church. I had
totally.
weird flower skirts and sets, and I was like, okay, but like I'm a creative person, I'm a fun person, I like clothes. So I dressed very differently. And then I remember when I would go to like my family, my father's from Mexico, my mom's from Peru, when we would visit them, and they would be like kind of a couple years behind, and like the trends that like had been our trends are now their trends and this and that. And then I would go to other places, and it's like we weren't really aligned. Now I go anywhere, everyone's dressed the same. And like,
Yeah,
and I'm like, see, that people don't understand, but like to me, that's crazy because before it used to be very clear to me when you would go to a certain type of country that they were dressed like a little more advanced than us in America. And then the Americas below us, like Central and South, were dressed like a little bit behind because that's how like the cycle would go. Because we would then like send their clothes down, and like that's how it became. But now I go anywhere. I was in Europe this summer. They're dressed the same as the girls here in this little town that I live in. Like this little
wow,
town.
that is incredible.
People don't even take card here for the most part where you go to eat or buy stuff. They don't even take card here. But everyone is dressed the same. The girls are more like fashion girly than I am.
Yeah,
And like they don't even necessarily have the resources, but it's like they all are seeing it that they learn how to make the thing to look exactly like everybody.
yeah,
And I'm like, that's for me. I'm like, it's not different anymore. Like, we are in some weird thing. Also, I think people don't understand like the collapse of America is not so much like then everything goes rogue. I think that's what people are imagining it to be. I'm like, no, it just means like we are now, someone is going to be like over us, and then they'll be over more. And then we will just be like, we are not going to lose so much of our essence as
yeah.
people think. I think a lot of times people think it's like a collapse and then like everything explodes or something. Because just because how I hear people describe it, I just think America, like we've been slacking and we are not interesting as much anymore. We are now more entertainment to the world. So before we used to be very powerful. We were a powerful force. We had a lot of conviction. People wanted us. We had money. Now we're just like interesting. We are reality TV. I like to think of that. Like we are the reality for the rest of the world. We are enjoyable to them.
Yeah,
It doesn't
that's
mean like,
totally what it is.
and that's what it is. So we have value. It's just unfortunately our values to be for our morale, for our strength, for our unity. That's where, but now our value comes from being very entertaining and like you can laugh at us and like but we're progressive enough that you can't feel bad versus like many things are happening very similar in like Central American countries as in America, but like, oh, we feel bad for them because like poor them, and I'm like, well, it's still corruption, but all right. um like or it's like, well, it's expected there. It's a very different mindset. And I learned that by listening to a lot of Europeans just talk. They didn't talk to me, I'm just listening. I'm like, oh, so this is how we're viewed. We are, what is that? Not Lifetime, but basically like the where they have all the reality TV shows. We're that channel,
Bravo.
maybe. Like
Oh,
we are that channel to the world.
yeah,
And
totally.
so, but guess what? People still love to watch. So that's the gag. Is like I'm not unproud to be
Yeah,
American, and I don't mean that in a whole like
yeah,
not the
totally.
red pill type of way, okay, where I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, I
proud
get
of
it.
you, because like
Yeah, I
I
get it.
literally don't even live in the U.S. anymore. But for me, I'm like there's something that I'm very happy to be like in
I
America
am too. I am too. I'm
because
I'm
I'm
very proud to be an American, and that's the nationality I identify with the most.
that's for me. I'm like you can't. I know our president, whatever, whatever, but no offense, like corruption has been a thing since the dawn of time. People been lying. They were putting rocks in the things to weigh the stuff that they were selling to make it
Always
seem
been
like,
that way.
you
They're
know.
playing a game that isn't always representative of the people in the nation.
And so I'm always been proud to be American because we had things that were really great about it. It's just unfortunate right now because certain things are being pushed out for us to see. For example, I mean, when you talk to most Americans about what they think of, well, let me not say most Americans. When you talk to Americans who are even educated, but you ask them about Mexico, the things they tell you, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like, that's not what's going on here. Like, yes and no. In the same way that, like, if you go to LA, there's things going on there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, what? Like, I've had my safety was always more in question living in LA than it has ever been me
Wow.
living in Mexico. And I'm honest, hand
Wow.
to God,
I
like,
believe you. I believe
and
you.
I truly feel that way. And I wish I didn't because there's so many things that they don't really have here in Mexico that they have in the US. And I don't mean like the mall or something. I mean like certain things that interest me a lot that I would have the opportunity to do if I was in the States that I don't because they don't really have those types of programs here. They have many very interesting advanced social programs here in Mexico. But they're just not in the same scheme that I am that we're the US because we used to put money into education, like used to. There are all these weird things that there's still pockets and holes where there, although right now it is getting a little weird, but where you could have make certain types of changes and there's opportunities for those types of things that they don't necessarily have here. It's just different.
Yeah.
And so I've always just find that's why I'm like, I agree with you. It's like we've lost our value, but we still, it's not like we're going to go from the top to the bottom. We're
Yeah.
just like lower top now. We're
Yeah.
like, we're becoming mid, as
Yeah.
the kids would say. And it's,
Losing aura.
we're losing aura points. Yes, it's embarrassing. And it sucks because I think there's so much potential, but it's like a part of a whole thing that's really going on all around the world. And like I think we're just now leveling out.
Yeah.
I think it's less there. I think now there will only be very few. It's going to be more like how it's always been in the world. There's actually going to be very few up, and most of us are actually just going to be here. And then
Yeah.
there's going to be a few that we like to use as an example that are very down.
Mhm.
And it's going to more extreme so that, everyone's feels they're okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think that's where we're going towards. Yeah, I've always thought that too, because I'm like, it's closer and closer. Like, no one cares about being American. I didn't know like people hated being where they in Spain, especially. People are like not proud to be from Spain.
Oh, really?
Like, apparently it's bad. Apparently it's
Oh, this.
and I don't know if these are just the. I'll share this then because I did not. I don't know if this is just like the people that I met, but they told me like it's almost bad to be intelligent. Like you want to be in
Yeah.
the group, and it's
Yeah.
bad to be like very nationalistic because you can be proud of your faction, like if you're Catalan or if you're more certain, like more your specific group. But being proud to be like Spanish is like, oh no, no, no. Like apparently not my teacher, my friend, his professor or someone had put up a flag, a Spanish flag in the class. It's like not even that crazy. And they took it down and he was like, this is disrespectful. I'm like, what?
Oh, well, I didn't realize that like collapse of national identity was happening in other countries
It
like
is.
that too. I don't see anything wrong with being proud of your nation. I think it's really important for communities of people to have shared values and
I
pride in
agree.
that. And
I agree.
but you know,
So
I
yeah,
think it's
just so you
because
know, it's
maybe people
everywhere.
use it as the name. They use it in the name of to do like terrible things, right?
They
Like,
do. They do.
not even going to get started with what's going on in America.
Yeah.
All these things are in the name of whatever America, but yeah,
That's why it's like I don't want to say the word nationalism because then it's like nah, 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 nah. But I'm
totally.
like,
Yeah, it's become like a different kind of buzzword, but
yeah. And
nations are very important.
ugh,
How people organize themselves is very important, and I think that because that need for nations is, I think it's like it's part of our nature. I think we're going to recreate it with the internet. It's going to be wild.
I do think that's what we're doing. I mean, that's why like even there's micro trends like if you're on a certain side of the internet, you've seen certain trends that like people who are on a different side of the internet don't.
Totally.
And like and then within that like let's say like the gym community, there's like the gym people and then there's like the calisthenics people and like even they have their own because like I think it's good and bad. This is a whole thing I could talk about too, where it's like labeling. I don't like that we always want to label everything. Like, oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm that. Like, it's not just like, hi, my name is Valerie. Like, it's like we need to have like all these attachments or if not, like we're not okay or something. I don't know. I feel like it's not a good thing because then it allows, I'm excusing myself for like, oh, I can be like this because like I'm autistic or because I'm
Prevents
tension
growth.
depressed or because I'm a
100%.
woman. And like now it's a defense mechanism. And it's not like a understanding of who I am. And like I understand and I'm not gonna do anything about it because I don't have to.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And I'm
like
like,
people use labels as excuses to be ignorant or to remain the same,
yes,
when human beings really are the bridge between where they are and where they want to go. It's like
yes,
we are neither where we were or where we're going. We
yeah.
are the thing that connects it. That's actually kind of the reason why I have this tightrope here. It's because I believe that people are the tension between the start and the end point.
Hmm.
And I think that to release that tension is to release our humanity.
Hmm. I like that. And I agree because I think a lot of people are missing out on a lot of really good things that they could learn because they're
Yeah.
not willing to talk to somebody who's different. And I'm
Like
like, that's so sad.
both of us just mentioned how we're both INTJs. And
Hmm.
we can say that because we're INTJs, we should never talk to people because we're introverted, right? I should never talk to strangers. And because we're thinkers and not feelers, we should never be compassionate with people.
Mm.
And because we're judgers, that means we should only pay attention to information relevant to our goals. But it's like both of us know that there's so much opportunity and wisdom on the other side of all of those things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I feel you on that.
Thank you for feeling me on that. But it's like truly, I wish and I'm like, it's not even like that you would talk to this person and then they change your mind. I'm like, you don't know if they really know how to make a really good chocolate chip cookie and you're missing out on it.
Yeah,
Because you're just not like willing to talk to this person or like you're
sure.
not willing to go past like what you perceive this person is. I find it very frustrating because I have like kind of a weird I have like a lot of tattoos. But then I'm
By the
also
way,
like a traditional religious person. It's like very strange. Nobody understands
my
me.
first
But
tattoo was a rosary.
oh wow, wow. Very Catholic. I have no Christian related. No, I don't. I did my first tattoo with that Pythagorean theorem, so that's my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man,
And
Pythagoras is my guy.
I
I
have a
love that.
pie here.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
But it's like I don't know. I think sometimes people I've had it happen to me in like my town, like where the older ladies didn't think I was a good person for them to talk to
Of
because
course.
of the tattoos. And then they talk to me and they're like, "Oh, you're like a good person." I'm like, "LOL, I didn't,
Yeah.
no, I wasn't. Like I didn't know that, whatever." And same thing with how other people feel like because I look so traditional, I won't understand them. And then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I had like a crazier life than you. Like you have no idea what
Oh
I
yeah,
was
same
doing."
here. Yeah, like my
And
students, they see like the blazer and whatever, and like some of my students say I talk like Chat GPT, and right, which I
that's
thought was funny. I'm
fantastic.
like, you guys don't even know that like I have lived such a crazy life. Like there's just so much more behind the scenes. There's
Right.
people are extremely dynamic.
Yes. Thank
Extremely
God.
dynamic. Yeah,
Thank
thank
God.
God. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
God for that.
And that's my only thing where I worry a little bit about these little communities on the internet because they're not actually open. They're much more closed because you do have to be fit in.
Yeah.
And that stresses me out because I think like I feel bad for kids. I feel really bad for young kids and like young people. I think it's harder now than before because like it was easy to like not fit in before because like you could just be goth or emo, you know? It wasn't like
Mm,
you had to be goth or emo a certain way versus now even not fitting in, there's like a certain way you have to not fit in
mhm.
or like are you this kind or that kind? I'm like, "Ugh, that's really exhausting."
Oh,
Um
good.
and like I don't know, I feel bad for them. Okay. Da-da-da. All right.
You said you had three questions.
Yeah, so that was one. So there's two more.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, you answered it.
so we're down to two. Now, do you want to start talking about, well, let's do this. We'll go back to the teaching stuff.
Yeah, let's
I
do
told
it.
you I was going to ask you this. I said, so are the kids going to be all right?
Yeah, I think some of them will.
Okay.
Some of them are so bright and intelligent, and they've been raised correctly, and they have all the advantages you can imagine that matter, and they have access to the world's knowledge at their fingertips. Like those kids, it's I am so unbelievably excited for them.
Mm,
So unbelievably excited. The ones that are well socialized, that have higher tolerance for frustration, that have a sophisticated vocabulary,
mm.
that are able to read and write and communicate. Um, those kids, man, and I've taught a few of them. Like I'm so excited about where they're going to go in the future. Like some of these kids are doing things that I could have never imagined doing at their age, and it's really great. But there's a lot of them that I think are going to have a really hard time. And it's because, well, one, there's a lot of things just working against them. I think we're going to be looking at smartphones for kids the way we look at cigarettes for kids in the 1950s. Like they used to give kids cigarettes if they couldn't go to sleep. You know, oh, you can't sleep, like have a smoke, right? I think we're going to see the same thing about smartphones and social media use for young people. I think um, and you know, a large part of it's because like the adults thought, oh, these things are so great. We're connected to so many people. The internet's so useful. This is a wonderful thing. Let's share it with our children, right? And then we find out that it creates a lot of issues. Like kids are not in their default mode network in their brain. They're constantly taking in new information. They are trained now that the open loops in their head need to be closed within like less than 60 seconds.
Mm,
They are constantly like bullying each other. Like the
mm.
drama never stops just because you go home. Like it's all on Instagram, and then you get notifications about, oh, this
Oh,
person's talking to you. You know what I mean? Like
I
back
never
when,
thought of that.
yeah, back when we were younger, like if there was a kid that was pissing you off at school, you'd go home and that was it.
Right. Yeah.
But that's not what it's like for them. They go home and they get a notification that this person's talking smack because they were tagged in this photo, and it's like it's and they feel like if they're not on social media, then they're completely destroying themselves socially.
Right.
Because at least in public school they have this hyper competition for status because they're surrounded by kids who are their own age, which never
Right.
happens in the real world, by the way. And so they have this hyper competition for status, so they don't want to delete their social medias and they never get away from it, and they never get any time to process any information. And so I think all of these are going to work against them. And then that coupled with this idea that the things they're learning in school aren't useful, and they're just like one TikTok away from getting all the brand deals they could ever want. I
Right.
can't tell you how many kids that have recently graduated who the first thing they do is they just start posting on Twitch, or they start posting on Instagram, or they're just trying to get brand deals. And it's like, I mean, you can make yourself a commercial if you want, no, like no
Yeah.
hate, that's fine. But these kids believe that that matters more than math and science.
Right.
And like, not to be like that old man, but like math and science is the reason for our increase in quality of life.
Mm,
Every good thing that has occurred, like us talking right now, is because we understood electrons and computer science. And you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
you cannot have this without math and science.
Right.
So the kids aren't they don't think it's valuable. And
Right.
if that's compounded two or three generations, that's terrifying for me. That's
Yeah.
very, very, very terrifying. And I'm looking at like China, like not to get all like geopolitical, but like China deeply values engineers. They deeply value science and mathematics. And they're moving far along in that path of innovation.
Mhm.
Whereas the United States is, like you said, it's kind of like a reality show. But also the whole country's ran by lawyers. And so everything has come down to, can I find a loophole or can I limit liability? And it's like if that becomes the primary orientation, like what happens to the country? But then not like couple that as the primary orientation with a bunch of people who can't read or write.
Right. Yeah.
It's like everything is ran by the psychopaths who can read or write. And so, are the kids going to be okay? I think they will be if they learn how to read, write, do math, and do science.
Mm.
And if they can develop a vocabulary that allows them to understand their past experiences and events. Did I mention the charades thing?
No.
No. Okay. So when people play charades, right, like they act things out because they can't talk. I think it's the same thing when people don't have a vocabulary. Like if they can't explain what's happening to them or explain the world around them, I think
Mm.
it all comes out in action. And I think that explains why there's a lot of behavior problems in classes. I think kids just like literally can't talk. Like I noticed that with my toddlers. Like when they can't express themselves, they literally scream because that's like what they're programmed to do.
Right.
But once I taught my kids, I taught them a little bit of sign language before they actually started talking.
Hmm.
And I noticed that when they were able to express what was happening or what they wanted in language, they acted out less. And so I
Mm.
think that if these kids can learn how to read, how to write, like how to develop themselves philosophically, they can make themselves more robust against this extremely complicated world that we're entering in, right? Like we just mentioned, like some of the macroeconomic factors and like the potential like collapse of national identities. Like, how are you going to navigate that world if you can't read, write, or understand math or science or yourself? Like
Right.
that's terrifying to me.
Like you can't just catch a vibe off of it. Like you might need
Yeah,
to
for sure.
actually read
Yeah, yeah.
something,
Like you can't just, yeah. There's no like yeah. You can't just like catch a vibe.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
for
But like, you know
sure.
what I mean? Because I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of my students, like, they'd be just like, but like, can't you just like get it? I'm like, no, like you literally can't though.
Yeah, let's
I'm
all
like,
just be
you
cool. It's
cannot.
like, no, dude. Like, if you don't understand why something works, it will mess you up. Like,
Yes,
if you see someone do something that you didn't think a human being was capable of, you will be traumatized. If
right.
you see yourself do something that you didn't know you were capable of,
Mm,
you will be traumatized even worse.
right.
And if you do not have the language to understand that or to capture that or to give that meaning, it will own you. And
Yeah.
that's terrifying to me. I'm also worried that the kids are lacking agency. I'm concerned that a lot of them just want to be told what to do because they're told what to think through their algorithms.
Right.
But to answer your question, are the kids going to be all right? I think some of them will be.
Mm.
I think some of them will seriously struggle, and I think some of them will realize that they don't have to struggle after struggling for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I agree. I think I find it interesting because so in the little town, I don't work as an educator here, but I do work with a lot of the young people. I like kids. I just always have. I think
Okay.
I have and this is one of the things where like I think it's probably a gift from God because like when I worked with the adults, I lacked patience. I just really did. But with children, my gosh, I can like sit and listen to their crazy story that went nowhere and I enjoyed it. And they had like a day where they came as who what they wanted to be when they were older. And they came, some of them well, some of them went as okay, so I do live in Central America. So some people did dress up as like, and these are children, mind you. Like I'm talking little kids. I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking
Yeah,
like elementary school age.
for sure.
Some came as influencers, and then other of them came as like narcos.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I was like, I
Yeah.
wasn't. I
Oh yeah,
paused because I'm like, do I want to say that? But I'm like, they did.
no, no, that I think that's real.
Yeah,
It was a lot of young boys, right? Obviously, it was the boys, it
yeah,
wasn't the girl. Yeah, it's because those guys have money, power, and status, and
yeah.
the admiration and quote unquote respect, which I think it's probably fear, but the kids think it's respect, and so it's like, of course, they want all those things.
And
They
like
think how
I
you get it.
worry. The thing I told you is I worry that nobody knows how to think anymore.
Yeah,
It makes me really nervous because I asked my family here thinks I'm actually almost all the ages, think I'm very strange because I'm always asking them about like how they're feeling and why they're feeling that way or why they're thinking or what they're thinking about. And I was kind of like, they didn't know how to handle that or like not handle it, but they just didn't understand it, I think. And I'm just like, oh, like y'all aren't worried about what you're thinking. And then I remember calling like my parents. I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, Valerie, nobody does that but you. But like, we were open to that
Oh,
as a family. So we did that a lot as a family because we would do that a lot as a family. Like we would have a lot of, and both my parents are immigrants, okay? And like, so, but we would sit as a family and like talk about what we were thinking about and why we were thinking that way. Like, something that always irritated me as a kid, it always makes them laugh because like, when I would do something wrong, like I had to sit down and like we had to like, get to the reason why maybe I had done that and like understand like what actions I need to take before. And like as a little kid, like my mom was making me do this and it would frustrate me. I remember I'd be like, well, can't you just like, and my parents never hit me, but I'd be like, can't you just like hit me and like we can get over this? And they would just be like, so like they could not understand. I was such I just had, I was very well spoken at a very little age.
love
And
it.
I would just be like, I don't really understand why we need to do all this. They're like, no, because then now you don't have an excuse. So let's figure out why you did
Um,
that. And I'm like, oh, and it would be like irritate my soul. But now I'm like, that's fantastic because like I can't, one thing that frustrates me, when I used to like go on dates and I'd be like, oh, so like, why do you do this or do that? Or like, why do you think that? And people are like, oh, I don't really know. Or like even just with friends, they'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, how do you not know? I'm like, that's wild. I'm like, you don't know? And they're like, oh, stop being annoying. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I'm genuinely concerned because like, how do you not know? Because that's kind of scary to me. Because I'm like, can someone just like get you to get somewhere and you don't even know how you got there?
yeah,
Like mentally, like that's
yeah,
scary. And I
that
feel like
is.
that's what happens with the kids. Like that's why we have all these like the incel culture or whatever, or the red pill
Oh
culture,
yeah,
or even like
yeah,
when you go to the extreme where it's like extremely almost leftist anarchist that at the same time it's like actually y'all are doing the same thing. That's crazy. Y'all just painted it different. And I'm just like, wait, what? And so I feel like how do you not know what you did to get there? It scares me because I feel like that allows for in interpersonally like as a woman, young girls who are like that, I'm like, you're gonna meet somebody and he's gonna be a narcissist, manipulative man, and you are just gonna be like, yeah,
yeah,
because he's nice-ish.
yeah.
And I'm
Nice,
like,
nice when it
that's
needs to be.
scary.
Yeah.
And like I think about a lot of things like as a woman because like I am. So maybe that's why. But I'm just like, I don't know, that has always scared me. And then yeah, I get scared that people don't know how to think anymore
I
because then
agree
I
with you.
feel like we're just letting everybody think for us. And I don't
Yeah,
trust anybody. I mean, but that's like a me thing. But I feel like I don't understand how, we all have these super strong opinions and we don't even know where they came from. And it's kind of
yes.
concerning.
No, totally. I think that that's a massive problem. I'm constant, like I tell my students all the time, like the biggest accomplishment you can have is maintaining who you are. And that does not mean like you're good on like how you are, because you're probably not. Like you do need to get better. Like you guys
Right?
are not as
Yes.
smart and as educated or knowledgeable or mature as you need to be. But what I mean by like maintaining yourself as like a great accomplishment is being able to think independently, or at least understanding why you think or have the opinions and perspectives you do. And like maybe, if you ask why too many times, it becomes impossible. But I think you should have an idea of where these things come from.
Mhm.
And if you don't know, well then, oh God, what's that quote? I think it's Voltaire. He says like those who get you to believe absurdities can get you to commit atrocities, something like
Oh,
that.
wow. Yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
that one, but yes, I agree. Whoever it is, if it's Voltaire, I agree with you, sir.
I think it might be
Absolutely.
Voltaire. It could be Abraham Lincoln. I have no idea. So
I don't know if it's him. I'll be
not
honest.
Lincoln. Yeah, it's not Lincoln.
Not you throwing him in there. I don't know about that.
Whenever I
Imagine
do
it is
quote of
him
the day with my
actually.
students,
He
that'd
rolled
be
in his
crazy.
grave.
Whenever I don't know who to attribute quotes to in my class, I say it's Abraham Lincoln. It's kind of a joke.
That's
I think.
hilarious. I have a my dad, he does a job where he like goes to people's houses and stuff, and sometimes they give him stuff. We have a pic like a painted of Abraham Lincoln, so I find that very funny. And we just put it up in the garage. And like it is, I think it's a little bit funny to all of us because we all know it's Abraham Lincoln. Like my parents are not ignorant people, they know who
Yeah,
it is. We're not like his fans, but it's like a nice painting. So like but it's in the garage, so it's not even in like a nice place. But it's been like hung up there for years because he was like, look at they gave me this painting. He was like, I mean,
that's
we're not like fans, but it's a nice painting. And my mom like hung it
yeah.
up there and it's been there for years.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a good piece of art. Would we
Yeah.
have picked it? Probably not. But
They gave it to him and it has been in our house ever since. So it's very funny that you said that you like just throw him up there. I'm like, we literally haven't thrown it up there. And then my favorite joke was always like, oh, we Lincoln. I'm like, yeah, we Lincoln. So like, it's okay. Thank you. It's nobody.
very good,
Thank you.
very good.
All right. Last question, I
Yeah,
promise. Then you're
yeah,
free. Okay. Being a teacher allows you to see the state of young people in a very intimate way. And we've been talking about that. And you do work with high schoolers.
I
So
do.
I think obviously we need to be clear. Like elementary school, I think is scary to me to be a teacher because you're like forming the mind and how they can learn and
Yeah,
their relationship. Middle school is scary because the hormones are hormoning.
bingo.
And like, it's very funny for me. I never thought I would enjoy working with middle schoolers. The a great big chunk of all my kids are now middle schoolers, and like I love them.
That's
And
impressive.
I
That's
truly do.
incredible.
I did not think I would love them as much as I do. And I'm just like, I'm fascinated by them, but it's a very different stage. And then
Yeah.
with high school is like, uh-oh, they're going to the real world.
Yep.
And we start to see who is going to be our colleague, who is going to be like in the places, like people who can actually end up being in charge of us in certain ways or
Yeah.
have like power in certain situations.
Yeah.
And like whether they go to college or not, because people get jobs and people get promotions, and then we go to
Totally.
establishments and like, or you go to get a service. And like, it's happened to me where like I've seen my students, I'm like, oh, I'm old. And I'm like, oh, you work here. Like, and not even in a bad way. It's just like all of a sudden, like something starts to happen and they're going into the real world. Sorry, all that being said, so it's like we get to know them in a very intimate way because a lot of them nowadays more before I feel like we would put on a good show for our teachers. I
Yeah.
wasn't. I was very rebellious as a student, but most kids were
Yeah.
like they were very good. Now we get like the rawest version of them. I feel like sometimes because they
For
have
sure we
no
do.
respect for
Yeah.
school. Um, and
There are no errors being put on for sure. We're
yeah,
just doing
whatever the hell they
being
want. Let's just put
authentic.
it clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is something that worries me a little bit. I'm not always like respect your elders. I'm not a big thing on that, but I think that respect is earned and like you should be able to realize when someone deserves it, whether you like them or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Agreed.
Anyway, that's a whole other
Love
thing.
that.
Sorry. But anyway, so you get to know them in a very intimate way. So you having daughters, right? I wonder if
Yes.
that has affected you in the way that you're parenting them, or in the
Yeah.
way that maybe you think I might, you know what, maybe when they get to this age, we might need to have this conversation, or I need to
Totally.
teach them what this and that is. I won't get into more of that, but yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. So yeah, how my experience in teaching has affected my parenting. A couple different things. Number one is I'm homeschooling my kids. And as someone who was educated in the public school system, I went to public universities. I work in the public school system. I am like one of my businesses is that I am trying to help the public school system. Like
Mhm.
I don't believe that we should abolish it. I think this
Yeah,
idea that like public education should be abolished is a luxury belief. Like those who believe that idea and pushing it out are the people who would never be affected by it.
right.
And people who are affected by
Give
it.
me 1 second.
Yep,
Sorry.
you're
My
good.
all my whole family's about to come in, so I think yeah, this will be good.
Oh, I get it. I get it. But yeah, I think that the people who would be affected by that type of like dramatic change would be seriously harmed. Like I work with a lot of students who come from families who could not homeschool them. It just wouldn't happen. And
Is
I've
that a
seen,
thing? Sorry, I've just not heard that. Or maybe I'm just because I
oh,
don't work in the. I'm like, are we trying to abolish school or what?
oh yeah, for sure. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So in the United States, there's a massive movement right now of moving kids away from public schools and focusing on homeschooling, because a
Okay.
lot of people believe that teachers are indoctrinating kids and the
Okay.
system is failing them. Okay, so yes, the system is failing the kids. They're not being able to do math. They're not being able to do writing. UCSD just put out a study that showed their incoming freshmen cannot do math at an eighth grade level. Like it's
Right.
just,
Yes. Which is
which
true.
is
I have.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like I have been shouting that from the rooftops for years. So the system is failing objectively. Now, is it because of like indoctrination? No. Me and every teacher I know, if we could teach the kids things, we would. Let me just be clear. Like we would teach them things if we could. They do not listen. That's a whole separate discussion. So there's this massive movement to take kids out of public education and bring them into homeschooling.
Mm.
Now, I think that that is a fantastic method for many, many, many people. There's this phenomenon called the two sigma problem. Shout out to my Gen Z kids, but I do not mean sigma. I mean like standard deviation, by the
Hmm.
way. Where if a kid gets one-on-one tutoring, they will literally improve their competency by two standard deviations
Hmm.
compared to a traditional classroom. And so I think that if you get more homeschooled kids in that environment with capable teachers and families, I think that's a fantastic method.
Hmm.
But there are kids to where that does not work. I have seen families who subscribe to that same idea, and so then they do not put their kids in public school. So, for example, I know of this 9-year-old that's about fourth grade in the United States. She cannot read. Like
Oh,
she can't read because the parents are homeschooling them, and the parents are not. I don't want to say they're not qualified to, but they
but
they
they're
just they
probably not
don't have the
qualified to.
abilities.
I'll say
Yeah,
it.
they don't have the abilities, and like so they need the public education system to step in and fill those gaps, right?
But I'm
And
just, wait,
so,
one thing. Sorry, I
yep,
need to get this part clear too. I'm like,
yeah,
do they want to abolish it, period? Because I'm like, no offense, there's a lot of people who couldn't even afford. That's like a luxury. That's like a privilege to be able to
exactly
do
why
that
I
in a
say it's a
way.
luxury belief, 100%,
Because I'm
right?
like, what the heck? Because I'm like, wait, I know people who, like, if the kids
Right,
weren't at school,
right,
where are they going to be?
right, right, right. And it's like, even for me as like a relatively educated person, someone who's very passionate about education, I am a credentialed teacher and all that nonsense. There are a lot of things I can't teach my kids.
Yeah,
There's so many things, and I would need someone else to do it. But what I'm getting at is I am homeschooling my kids, me
right.
and my wife. So we're not going to put our daughters in that system because I've seen what it does to people who are intelligent. And I believe that my daughters are intelligent. I think they're very smart. Just like you said, you were like very verbally affluent at a young age. Like so are both my daughters, honestly. And so I want to give them the best opportunities I can. And so that's one thing. It's like my experience in the education system has confirmed that I should homeschool my kids.
Mm.
Does that mean other people should not put their kids in public school? No, I don't think that. I'm also very lucky to have a well-educated wife who's also
Mm.
passionate about this, and I am also like I'm constantly teaching my daughters things. We're
Yeah.
constantly like, yeah. Anyways, that's one thing. Another thing, is that I'm very concerned about the eligibility of their dating pool as they get older. I think that a lot of men, or young men, young boys, are constantly running from responsibility, which I
Mm.
think will make them destructive. So I
Mm.
think if a man does not have access to responsibility, he
Mm.
becomes destructive. And I know that from personal experience. I know that from working with teenage boys for years on end. Um, they don't want to hear that word responsibility.
Mm.
They think of it as purpose or a task or an obstacle, or excuse me, or an objective or a goal, but it's all the same thing. And so that worries me. I am also concerned that what else can I go with that? Oh well, yeah, I guess that responsibility piece is a really big one. But also, and to be like more, I guess, optimistic, um, when I teach, I am so, or at least I was, not so much anymore, but I was so shocked by like how terribly people understood things. Like if you explain a concept to someone,
Mhm.
like a math problem or whatever, like they have so many misunderstandings that you didn't even realize you could misunderstand. Which kind of signals to me that people are really bad at things when they first start.
Mhm.
Like really bad at things. And I think working in education has kind of helped me expect that. Like, okay, they're going to be so terrible. Like, we really need to work through this, like, step by step or whatever. That has helped a lot as a parent because my kids are learning everything and I get to watch them do that. Like,
Right.
I remember there's one time when my daughter was first learning to walk, my oldest, she didn't know you had to walk around things.
Right.
So she was like, I would like watch her try to walk through stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
man, you're really bad at this. Like, you're really bad at this. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could be that bad.
Right. Right.
Right.
Right.
But like that type of expectation is for everything. And so I feel like it allows me to have much more patience for the progress that my kids make whenever they're learning things. Like,
Mm.
they're going to be really bad at literally everything, at manners, at eating, at whatever, communicating, at acting in the world, at all that stuff. And so I feel like that allows me to explain things to them on a more precise and more accurate
Mhm.
level
Yeah.
without like wondering like why how come they don't get it, or they should know this by now or whatever. It's like no, they're going to be so bad at it,
Right.
it's like beyond your imagination. And
Yeah.
so working in education has given me that perspective in parenting, and I think that allows me to not only explain things to my daughters in ways that they understand, but have patience for them when they're acting extremely incompetent, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that.
People don't want to think of kids as like incompetent, but like
But in a
there.
way, because I do feel like I see that sometimes where like I see people get really frustrated with their children. And I'm like, yeah, but like homeboy's doing it for the first time, man. Like,
Dude, right.
can't be
And
that
it's like,
mad. Like it's his first time. And
yeah,
I
and
feel like that's I have a weird thing where like I understand that from a kid.
yeah,
And that's why like adults, I don't get it. I'm like, you've been doing this a while. So
I feel you.
maybe
I
talk
have a
more.
lot less patience for adults. I
Yeah,
really do.
like
Yeah.
come on, bro. And like I feel bad because that's like so funny to me because like until like they're up until 18, even like 19, I'm like, I have a lot. And then you're 20, I'm like, what? Are you serious now?
Yeah,
And
totally.
I taught college, like I did like a TA kind of thing for a little bit. I was like, this is not for me. I was like, nope, I can't stand you guys. And like I helped them and they did really well and all that. I did good on the teaching part, but like internally, my monologue was terrible compared to like I had kids in the schools that I was teaching at that told me they were gonna like beat me up and they were doing terrible things and this and that. I felt fine. I felt at peace versus I had these kids who were, wanting to be here, pushing themselves. And I was like, I hate you guys. I mean, I don't hate them, but I was like, I can't
I get
stand
it.
that.
It's
I was like
it's
bored.
it's like seeing people be less competent than they're capable of being is just so disgusting.
It
It's so
is.
disgusting, and it's like with kids, it's like they're not capable of doing that yet, and I think like we see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel you.
And
I
I
feel
think
you.
your daughters are going to be amazing. I
Okay.
have told this to like this is probably why I'm never getting married. Once again, another thing on the thing because I always say like, well, I would really like to homeschool my kids at least until they're 7, and then
Yeah.
we could kind of see like where they go
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's when their worldview is really established. And like that's why I'm like, I just can't. I'm like, wait, I understand like you want to homeschool your kids and all that stuff. But I'm like, we're abolishing the school. We can't do that. You don't understand
Yeah.
what other people. That's why I was like, wait, hold up.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
I was
no,
like, let me understand this American news that I haven't been looking into really quick.
I mean, maybe my parts of the internet are just a little extreme. I
I
critique the
don't watch a
education a
lot of
lot.
American media. I'll be honest.
Oh, that's good. You don't need to.
I stay away from it, like on
Yeah, you don't need to.
purpose, because I'm
Okay. That's smart. That's a smart thing. I think it's because I critique the education system a lot, and so the algorithm probably thinks that's what I like to see.
right.
But
Also,
yeah,
you can't critique anything you're not informed in. I believe that in a lot. Like,
yeah,
really, anything I've said here is based on my experience, right? And the things that I understand, still being in but I no longer really can critique the education system. I can only critique the way people interact with education because I'm no
okay,
longer in the system.
yeah.
I'm like a weird thing that I'm the person you hire to come to your house to help teach your kid.
I
You
get
know?
it. Yeah, I mean, I was like that for many years. I actually started writing my book as a private tutor. And I remember just being so angry at teachers because all I ever experienced was kids whose teachers were not helping them learn because I was a tutor.
Mhm.
And so I had all these critiques of education, and I remember showing it to someone who told me he sells curriculums to schools, and I'm like, oh great, you should sell my book to these teachers so they can learn how to be better teachers. And he's like, that's very kind of you, but no one's going to take you seriously because you weren't in the system. And I'm like,
Exactly.
oh. And so now I'm in the system, and now I'm telling teachers, I guess, not telling them what to do, but I'm telling them what's worked for me.
Right.
And yeah, so I'm like still on that trajectory, but yeah, I feel you. I get it.
I
But I
reverse.
think your opinions are just as valid.
Yeah, well, because I reverse. So I understand what it can be like, and I'm
Yeah.
willing to hear you and understand that. Like, I can't be like, no. I'm like, probably. As my friend would say, probably yes. And because he always said that, he's like, probably yes. I'm like, yeah, that's yes. But I think I definitely understand with just a little bit about what you said about your daughters. I also sometimes I love the idea of, by the way, which wasn't true for me. I love the idea of like having children. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh God, I'm so scared for them.
For
And
your own
like,
kids, like if you had them.
if I had them,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be like, because I'm just so worried. Like, if I have a son, like, am I going to raise him right enough that he's not an asshole? Like, just
Yeah.
put it in like clear terms.
Yeah. I mean,
And
you could do
like,
everything right and you could still be an asshole.
I know, because I kind of I'm an asshole, so he'll probably like follow what I do,
Okay.
and and so I would think about that and like the responsibility that there is when you have male children is like to make sure they can be good leaders to women and respect them,
Productive,
and then
generous,
having
honest.
daughters is like teaching them to respect themselves enough and
Yeah.
to understand when someone is respecting you and disrespecting you, and then like that whole thing. I think it's such a like weird dichotomy. I do, and I think for me, when I heard you had daughters, like I'm super close to my dad. That's my bestie. So like I feel like father and daughter are so important because I think so I'm 28 and like I'm not married. And a lot of people have a lot of comments on that. And I'm just like, oh, I love the whole idea. Have you seen those videos? They're like, oh, but my dad would. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
you don't want to take the time to like teach me something? Yeah, but my dad would. And like I feel that about my dad. And I'm like, because my dad, like, I'm in crisis. I call my dad. I'm like, thank
I
God
love
I have
that.
someone like that.
That's so
And
cool.
it's like sometimes I feel like I didn't make a lot of mistakes along the way. And my dad's not a teacher, but you have an understanding. But my dad was a man and he knew what thing the world was kind of like.
Yeah,
And so he gave me that information freely. And I feel like being a teacher must influence the way you parent because you see what the potential is of a child who is not, and this is the thing, is like I think this is why I have a lot more patience with a child, is because I know they just weren't loved properly. They weren't listened to properly. They weren't given to the attention that they really needed. And it's a need. It's not what they wanted. Okay. It was always a need. And like you didn't do it. And I understand, and you have to work and this and that and their situation and like something happened and now you have this child. I understand all of that. I don't lack compassion for like the women and the fathers and like even the ones who are together. Like I don't have lack compassion for it being a struggle. But it makes me really sad because I think that's why I fell in love with being a teacher because I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're just kids. Like these are just, even though they were always like bigger than me, and I was like, they're just little kids, they're just little girls, they're just
yeah,
little boys. And like no one said that they believed in them. No one said that they loved them. No one said that they were special. No one said that they could do something that was hard. And I'm like not trying to be dramatic. I was working with high school kids when I was in the classroom. And when I pushed them, they were like, oh, no one's ever pushed me before. And I'm like, that's insane. How has no one,
yeah,
you're reaching me, you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and no one's like thought that you could do more? And
yeah,
like, I was never crazy, okay, because I don't expect like to make something out of nothing. We can't do that. But I can see enough in a child that there's a push that you can give them, and you have to
yeah.
be reasonable about that.
Of
Um,
course.
I don't know why I started talking about that, but yeah, I don't know. And so I don't know. I feel like I'm so sad because it makes me really sad. I think that's why I also had to get out of education. I don't think I was mature enough. I was way too young. I couldn't like
That's hard.
digest it the way I
So
can
much.
digest it now.
It
And
is
I
so
feel
much.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, which if you want to talk about, you totally can. But I feel like that is like, and that's why I liked when you said that like your children bring you that joy and that peace, where it's like you go out into the world and it's like crazy, and then you are able to do that because I think they probably are feeling that even though they might not know it. And then they seem self-aware, like the type of children that you are raising, because we are our own individuals, but your parents, the way they raise you influences how you ultimately see the world. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like hate to break it to everybody, but yes, it
I
does.
have a theory that a child's relationship with their mother is a relationship with life itself, and the relationship with their father is the relationship with the rest of the world.
Huh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I spent a lot of time thinking about that, and I think it's true.
I think it depends. It could be
I mean,
flipped.
yeah, I think it depends. I think there's like a lot of nuance and stuff, right? That's a really, 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 really big blanket statement. But I do think that there's a lot of truth in it,
Yeah, I think
in
so.
my experience.
Yeah. No, I can agree. I mean, like I'm like my dad's mini me. Um, so
Love it.
it's like very funny. And it's like I'm so mean. My poor brother, if he hears it, I'm like, I'm the son he always wanted. My brother's older than
Oh,
me.
that's so mean.
I'm
You're
so
so
mean.
awesome. I
I
love
am.
it.
I know I am.
That's so
Uh,
good. You hit him right. That's the type of thing you can only say to your sibling. That's so
exactly.
funny.
Yeah. And we love each other. We really do. Thank God for that as
I
well.
get it.
And
Yeah.
so yeah.
I have a younger sister, and I never hold back with her, and she never holds back with me. It's
Exactly.
great.
Okay, that's love. Um, but I want to thank you so much, okay, for
Thank
spending
you,
this
Valerie.
time with me. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
But honestly, I think time is our most valuable asset nowadays, and our
Yes, it is.
attention and what we decide to think about and what we decide to give energy to, as the young people say. And I really do thank you because you did not know what you were coming into, and
No,
you graciously opened yourself up. And even though you may say that's your nature, It doesn't mean that you had to be as open as you were or as willing as you were. And I really have to thank you for that. I thank you for being a teacher. I thank you for saying yes to being an educator in the United States, to being yes to an educator in this world, and that you're choosing to do it in a bigger sense because we can all feel these callings and very few of us are obedient. Many are called, fewer, many are chosen, few are called,
Right.
and even fewer actually obey.
Oof.
That's the extra part that's not
Oof.
in the Bible, but it's the truth.
Well,
Um,
I should have wrote it.
and that one's in the Bible, so if you want, you just add a little extra tidbit. But it's really true, and I think being an educator, you are like a warrior, and you're a
Yeah.
warrior not just for your family, but for your students and for like the youth at large. And I thank you for being that because you don't have to, because you really don't have to.
No,
Um,
yeah, I do. I think about that often as well, but somehow I keep doing it.
Praise God. Yeah. So thank you. If there's any last thoughts, I don't have any like I guess the little last question I had like turned into
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bunch
yeah.
of
Yeah, go for it.
no, I don't have any. That's why I'm like it because it
Oh,
just became a whole thing.
that is the question.
But maybe if someone wanted to be a teacher
Yeah,
in this crazy world, what would you tell them? What would be your piece of advice? A short one.
that's hard because honestly, I wouldn't recommend anyone be a teacher.
That's okay. I'm
No,
like,
okay, well, let me let me clarify this because I do think that it is like you expressed earlier and I expressed earlier, it's this thing that you almost cannot control if you really have that calling.
mhm,
I think what is important is to be clear on what it is that you want to teach.
mhm,
Right? I think that we are blessed enough, and I think we had this part, we went to so many places in this conversation, but I think we talked about leverage with media and code. And I think that if you want to teach people, there has never been a better time in society to be able to share your knowledge and wisdom with others. I just think the problem is people need to be clear on what it is exactly they want to share.
mm,
So if you want to teach, you can do the whole like asking for permission for a credential, this and that. But what I've noticed is that the most intelligent people, they don't care what your qualifications are.
mm,
They just care if what you are saying is sound and true.
mm.
And so if you have a desire to teach, be clear on what you want to teach
Mm.
and then teach people
Okay.
however you can. Get yourself in classrooms, get yourself in front of people, sit in front of your camera, post on the internet, and share the knowledge you want to have. And I believe that the algorithms, like if you want to do it online, the algorithms are good enough to where people who are interested will find it.
Mm,
And I would not have given that advice if it has not been true for me.
mm.
Because for some reason, you watched my video where I talked about how the only way I recharge after work is playing with my kids. And all I realistically did was got a cup of coffee, sat in my backyard, and looked at my phone and said words.
Yeah.
That's like what I did. And somehow you found me, and we've had this extremely fruitful and productive conversation. And so I think if anyone wants to be a teacher, learn a bunch of stuff, learn what's interesting to you, find a way to share it with others,
Mm,
and don't ask for permission.
mm. I like that. I agree. I think I like what you said, where you said make sure you can hear the calling.
Yeah.
Keep your ears open to your calling because stop being
Yes.
so resistant. Get a clear message and do it.
Yes. Exactly.
I love that.
Much easier said than done, though, for sure. It
Oh
took me
yeah.
years. It took me years. I'm
Yeah.
still like, I don't even think I say all the things I want to say.
No, me either. And I talk all day. Can you imagine? Like
We got our PhDs in Yaponomics for sure.
seriously, thank you. I'm like that one I would get. They'd give it to me. You know how like when they give like famous people
Yeah,
degrees?
like the honorary doctorate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's mine. I got it. I have it. And you can join it too. We can have our
Oh
whole
yeah, there we go.
I love
There we
that.
go.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just stop